Aloha and good morning, everyone. It is Monday, July 28th, 2025, and the time is now 9:05 a.m. Will the Committee on Zoning and Planning meeting please come to order? I would like to welcome the following committee members: Committee Vice Chair Waters, Councilmember Cordero, Councilmember Okimoto, and Councilmember Tupola. I understand via Zoom, we also have Councilmember Dos Santos Tam. Good morning, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam. Do we have any other council members online?
Chair, there are none.
Although remote verbal testimony is being permitted, this is a regular in-person meeting and not a remote meeting by interactive conference technology under HR Section 92-3.7. Therefore, the meeting will continue, notwithstanding loss of audio-visual communication with remote testifiers or loss of the public broadcast of the meeting. Members of the public will be allowed to provide verbal testimony on all items on the agenda when each item is taken up in two ways: in person in the council chamber and remotely via teleconference, via video conference or phone. Before testifying, each person shall state their name for the record. Each speaker will be limited to a 1-minute presentation per item. All persons who registered to testify in person will be called upon first. Persons who did not register will be given an opportunity to offer testimony after the registered testifiers. Once in-person testimony has concluded, I will proceed to the remote testifiers. When I call your name or the last 3 digits of your phone number, please follow the prompts to unmute. As both English and Hawaiian are official languages of the state of Hawaii, pursuant to Article 15, Section 4 of the Hawaii State Constitution and Section 113 of the Hawaii Revised Statutes, members of the public may testify in either language. For verbal testimonies offered in Olelo, Hawaii, additional time as may be necessary will be allowed for the testifier to provide an English translation of their testimony. Written testimonies, including the testifier's address, email address, and phone number, will be available to the public as described on the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off or silence all cell phones for the duration of this meeting. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 1. This resolution grants a special Resolution 25-184. This resolution grants a special management area major permit to Ka'apuni LLC to allow the construction of a 2-story single-unit main dwelling with attached 3-car garage, 1-story single-unit guest dwelling, central courtyard, in-ground swimming pool, spa area, and open work fencing on an approximately 44,356 square foot shoreline lot, split zone R10 residential district and P1 restricted preservation district located at 144 Ka'apuni Drive in Kailua and identified as tax map key 43013-039. Members, we have posted on the agenda a proposed CD1 version of the resolution, which I submitted. For your information, a summary of the amendments is listed on the agenda. A small portion of the project zoning lot closest to the shoreline is zoned P1 Restricted Preservation District, but no development is proposed in this area. The proposed site, the project site, is not anticipated to be impacted by coastal erosion or sea level rise, and the shoreline setback is 60 feet. The project's main dwelling, which is closest to the shoreline, will be located approximately 69 feet from the shoreline. The project zoning lot size is listed as 44,356 square feet, but over decades, 2,067 square feet of the lot has been lost to erosion and is now within the State Land Use Conservation District. Several calculations to determine compliance with land use ordinance development standards are based on the zoning lot size. The proposed CD1 adds a new condition B to require the applicant to use 42,289 square feet as the project's zoning lot size, which reflects a reduction of 2,067 square feet that has been lost to erosion when calculating building area, floor area, and impervious surface area for purposes of the project's building permit application. Since the applicant is aware that it has to revise these calculations before submitting a building permit application, hopefully this will facilitate the project's building permit process. The applicant proposes new open work fencing with a 60-foot shoreline setback area, which will require a minor shoreline structure permit. Condition C of the proposed CD1 requires the applicant to obtain a minor shoreline structure permit prior to the issuance of any building permit for the installation of the project's proposed fencing within the 60-foot shoreline setback area. An archaeological inventory survey of the project site was conducted by ASM affiliates. A total of 12 test trenches were excavated, and 2 Native Hawaiian historical sites were discovered. One site is a subsurface occupational layer containing 2 pits and a septic vault. The other site is a subsurface occupational layer containing a pit. No iwi kupuna, or Native Hawaiian ancestral remains, were discovered, but the project site is located within the Kailua accretion berm, where many iwi kupuna have been discovered, and the project site also consists of Jacques sands, which have a higher likelihood of containing subsurface archaeological sites in iwi kupuna. The proposed CD1, therefore, includes conditions to minimize impacts to archaeological, historical, and cultural resources. Condition D2 provides that prior to the issuance of a construction permit or building permit for the project, the applicant is required to submit to the Department of Planning and Permitting a copy of the State Historic Preservation Division's written acceptance of the project's archaeological inventory survey and any required mitigation protocols. Condition D3 provides that prior to the issuance of a construction permit or building permit for the project, the applicant is required to prepare and submit an archaeological monitoring plan to the State Historic Preservation Division and provide the department with a copy of the division's written acceptance and any required mitigation protocols. Finally, condition D4 requires the applicant to implement all mitigation protocols approved by the division and conduct a coordination meeting with project archaeological consultants and construction contractors prior to the start of construction to ensure that everyone is informed of all required mitigation protocols. The project involves the excavation of approximately 44 cubic yards of soil material for the swimming pool and slab-on-grade dwelling foundations. Some of the excavated soil material will be used for infill purposes, and no importation of soil fill material is proposed. The applicant also proposes to import 295 cubic yards of structural fill material. Since structural fill may contain invasive pathogens, pests, or plants, the proposed CD1 includes a new condition K that requires the applicant to comply with certain protocols to minimize the spread of invasive species. Joining us in the council chamber is Todd Hassler from Peter Vincent Architects, the applicant's agent, who will be providing a brief presentation. For your information, the presentation is available online as Miscellaneous Communication 384-2025. Welcome.
Aloha and good morning. Actually, I'm Peter Vincent with Peter Vincent Architects. So I'll take you through a brief presentation, then I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. I think Councilmember Kiaina stated everything correctly. So this is for a replacement dwelling on this property in Kailua on Ka'apuni Drive. It's actually for 2 single-family dwellings, which will be used solely for the use of one family and their guests. The property is within the SMA area. There's no erosion on this property. It's not in the erosion zone. These are photos of the current property, which is vacant currently, although there was previously a dwelling on the site. This is a topographic survey and the current shoreline survey. As was mentioned, we meet or exceed all land use ordinance regulations, including the 60-foot shoreline setback. Mostly we exceed the shoreline setback. There's a stepped configuration to the new dwelling that's proposed, as you see here in this site plan. So the majority of the dwelling is well in excess of the 60-foot shoreline setback. A central courtyard is created to buffer the outdoor living areas from the onshore trade winds, and the second dwelling is located closer to the street side, access via an auto court. All required 11 parking stalls are developed on site. This is a landscape plan showing several different planting zones, Mackay planting with salt-tolerant plants, planting within the courtyard, and the auto court in keeping with the area. Elevations of the property, a hardscape plan. Again, there's a pool in the central courtyard, buffered from the trade winds. The dwelling is mostly 1 story, and there's 1 2-story portion on the Kaneohe Mackay side of the property. That is a bedroom. Otherwise, it's all 1 story. And these are a few 3D views, aerial views of the proposed project. This is looking Mackay from Ka'apuni Drive. The entry gate from Ka'apuni Drive. This is on the Kaneohe Mackay corner of Ka'apuni Drive. And a view looking in the Mauka direction. And a view from the beach side. So the materials used on the proposed dwellings are in keeping with the area, cedar shingle roof, combination of wood siding and some stone. And the massing is broken down into smaller elements so that it doesn't have a large presence on the property. This shows the areas of the project and our parking plan. So that concludes the presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Mahalo.
Thank you so much. Members, are there any questions for the applicant's agent? Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much for your presentation. I was wondering about this slide where it shows the access, the beach access. Is that also a part of the property and the owner's area?
No, that's a public beach access that will remain as is and is not within the project area.
Okay, I do see that the driveway does kind of extend. Does it extend into part of the beach access that then connects to the road?
No, they're separate.
Okay, because it does kind of look like it curves into the beach access.
It is in a corner area of Ka'apuni. Ka'apuni is kind of a U-shaped road off Kalaheo Avenue, and so this is kind of right at that corner, if you will, and the beach access is just on the Lanikai or Waimanalo side of that. So they are separate, but they are converging when you get to the corner of the street. It's not a very well-defined street edge there. Mm-hmm. There's no curb or sidewalk.
Okay, just want to ensure that there's enough access and that the property owner's driveway or the applicant's driveway doesn't then encroach into the beach access, and then, you know, there's going to be, I guess, issues when, oh, you're on our part of the driveway type of thing.
No, that won't be an issue. And there are some existing bollards there that prevents any, you know, vehicles from entering the beach access. Those will be maintained. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Members, any other questions? Thank you for your presentation. I know that you guys have been working on a lot of projects in Kailua, and you heard my my explanation about the likely discovery of iwi kupuna. Most recently, down the road on Kainalu Drive for a swimming pool, iwi kupuna was recently discovered. And so my question to you is, if iwi kupuna are discovered during excavation of the swimming pool, is your team prepared to look at alternatives to allow for burial in place, including moving the pool to a different location?
Yes, depending on the circumstances, we would. And as you are aware, we've done many homes on the windward side, Kailua, Lanikai. I guess we've been fortunate over the years to, in Kailua, not encounter any iwi kupuna during construction. On other properties, we have one, for instance, on Kavela Bay. We ran into iwi kupuna, so of course we stopped construction, notified DLNR, and as you mentioned in your statement, we do have ASM affiliates on board for an archaeological monitoring plan in place, and that will be set in place prior to any construction activities.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to make sure that I asked the question, and if you're not aware, the city's Oahu Historic Preservation Commission is actually considering from the Kailua Hawaiian Civic Club more protections that might be necessary for the preservation of iwi kupuna. Before I call up the administration, I would like to take public testimony, proceeding first with in-person testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, do we have any in-person testifiers for this item?
Chair, we have a few standing by.
In person?
Yes. Oh, no, sorry. None.
No, okay. Is there anyone, if there's none, is there anyone else in the council chamber who would like to testify on this item? Please come forward to the testifier podium and begin by stating your name. Proceeding on with remote testimony, clerks, do we have any remote testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Is there anyone standing by remotely who would like to testify on this item? If not, I will call on Don Takeuchi Apuna, Director of Planning and Permitting.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Don Apuna. We are supportive of the proposed CD1, and we're here for any questions.
Thank you. I'm actually gonna, I'm sorry, you're just here for questions, correct? Before we go there, I realize that there is somebody online who would like to testify. Is that Tara Rojas? Tara, please move forward if you would like to testify.
Aloha, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah, so sorry, I always had my hand raised. I just wanted to say, oh, man, we've got to keep coming back. Again, why you got to keep coming back? I know I just heard the applicant. If this is a special meeting for this building, and we heard you say, the Hawaiian Civic Club said regarding iwi, why does it take iwi to be disturbed in the first place? That's just wrong. Look at the whole Kailua coastline. Look at all the coastline. Who is this benefiting? You know, it's only for certain individuals. You had concern, you know, about the public. I mean, but just enough already. Especially if you know it's in an area where it's more than likely, you know, to find iwi. You mentioned about Shipti, you mentioned about everything. Of course they're going to be working hard because they want it.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
Yeah, so just, you know, just when does it stop? The bylaws and everything, this whole usurpation and fake unlawful real estate is just to build at the expense of erasure and expense of desecration for the enjoyment and pleasure.
Tara,
to build.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Yeah. I need to let you know that there are laws in place for the protection of iwi kupuna and cultural and historical resources. So I take to heart your concern. All of Kailua could potentially be impacted, and that's why we have laws in place. So just thank you for your testimony. Members, are there any questions for the Director of the Department of Planning and Permitting? Councilmember Okimoto.
Thank you, Chair. Aloha, good morning, Director Apuna. I'm not sure if this is for you or for the architects, But on slide 5, where they have the 6 pictures of the lot currently that's vacant, because I had questions about the beach access as well. Is this, so there, on this, in this picture, there's 2 black, like metal fence gates. Is that city property? The owners, or the, Mr. right before us, Vincent, he said that that wasn't part of their project. So I'm looking at this slide, and it's the first picture right here, because I had questions about the beach access as well. So is this city property, the gates? Who put that there, and how was that? Who was there a permit for that?
I'll defer to my staff who would know the details of that. So Jordan Dildy is here. He can answer your question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, committee chair, members of the zoning committee. Jordan Dildy, staff planner, DPP. So would we be able to pull up that slide?
Yeah, if you could, it's the first picture on slide 5, the first box on the top left. I'm not sure if that can be zoomed in, but that, we also have it on our, I zoomed in on my computer. The slide 5 had the 6 pictures. Yeah, right there, and the first top left image. If you zoom in, it's different from what the architect had on there, because there's actually 2 black gates on there. So I'm wondering, does that close? Who closed that? Who put the gates
Sure.
up there?
So just for clarification, that beach access is not a public beach access. The Ka'apuni Community Association actually owns that, so they can put up gates if they choose to.
Sorry, can you repeat who owns the beach access?
The Ka'apuni Community Association.
Okay, because I guess we're under the impression from what's been stated that it's public beach access, so that's not actually true.
So it typically remains open for the public, but they can close it if they choose to.
Okay, and are you familiar with, I'm trying to see in the diagrams, the road in front of the property?
Yes.
Because on maps, it shows that it's pretty, you have to take all these roads inside. So the road right in front of the property, who owns that road?
That's also a private road.
That's also a private road?
Correct.
So really, there is no public beach access unless you go into the private road, into this gated area that's owned by an association?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Members, if there are no, did you want to also answer her question?
Yes, if I may, please. Yeah, so there is no gate on that beach access. It is owned and managed by the Ka'apuni Community Association, but in practice, members of the public do park on, there's no public parking on Ka'apuni Drive, but people park on the Mauka side of Kalaheo Avenue and do access that. Minimally, perhaps. Most of the time it's used by the residents of Ka'apuni Drive, but it is open for the public. There are no gates there. To my knowledge, there's no plan of gates, and certainly not part of this project are we proposing any kind of gates. There's just a couple bollards there that prevent vehicles or cars from going through that beach access.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. It looked like that you could put something on there to lock it, but I'm hearing that the association owns.
Not currently. No, you can freely walk through.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. If there are no further questions before I make my recommendation, I'm going to move forward. The chair recommends that resolution 25-184 be amended to the posted CD1. Any discussion? Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, the resolution has been amended to a CD1. The chair then recommends that resolution 25-184 CD1 be reported out for adoption. Any discussion, any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Moving to agenda item number 2 for action, Bill 51, 2025. This bill amends the Fort Street Mall Special Improvement District number 2 and supersedes any conflicting provisions. Members, we have distributed a hand-carried CD1, OCS 2025-0585, proposed by Councilmember Dos Santos Tam, who also introduced the bill. I will now defer to Councilmember Dos Santos Tam for both the explanation of the underlying bill as well as the hand-carried CD1. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Chair. As you know, downtown Honolulu is the economic and civic heart of our city and has been through a fairly rough patch over the past several years. In 2002, the Fort Street Business Improvement District was created, but it only covers the Fort Street area. We look to examples like the Waikiki Business Improvement District that's been hugely successful in bringing power washing, more security, Aloha ambassadors, additional maintenance services to the Waikiki area, and we'd like to do the same thing in downtown. So that's the underlying message of Bill 51. As for the hand-carried CD, this contains 3 separate amendments. The first actually came from the committee chair's office to amend Section 4, the mission statement, to include the fact that the Downtown Business Improvement District should work with the private sector as well as with government, and then has 2 other amendments that came from the Real Property Assessment Division. The first requires that the nonprofit submit an annual request to BFS for the necessary data to conduct their assessment, and then the second amends Section 9B to require that for the first year of the existence of the bid, they need to submit an accurate budget that's based on current revenue projections and expenses. And so those are the 3 very, very simple amendments in the hand carried. If we were to amend it today, there would be a public hearing on September 3rd. That would give stakeholders 37 days to prepare testimony based on the amended version. If we were to hear it in August, we could do that as well in preparation for the public hearing on September 3rd, but that would leave stakeholders with about a week and a half to review any amendments.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. ROH Section 28-2.3 requires that all landowners and lessees of the properties listed in Bill 51 for inclusion in the amended Downtown Honolulu Special Improvement District be notified by mail at least 15 days prior to the council scheduling of the required public hearing. This notification provides affected landowners and lessees the opportunity to object to the proposed amendments to the district. The council will not be able to meet this minimum 15-day public hearing notification requirement for its next meeting on August 9th, 2025. So the earliest the council would be able to hold a public hearing would be at the council meeting on September 3rd. I will therefore be recommending that Bill 51 be postponed to the next committee meeting on August 21st, 2025, to give everyone enough time to review the CD1 amendments. That will also provide ample time for the bill to be reported out of committee for second reading and scheduling of a public hearing at the council meeting on September 3rd. Joining us in the council chamber is Chris Fong, Senior Investment Associate at Tradewin Capital, who will be providing a brief presentation. For your information, the presentation is available online as Miscellaneous Communication 385-2025.
Good morning, Zoning Committee, and thank you, Chair Kia Aina. My name is Chris Fong. I work with Tradewin Capital, which is a local-based investment company headquartered downtown. Excuse me. We're part of a family of companies with over 500 employees, so this is really important to us. But I'm really up here in my capacity as a volunteer and one of the leads in the creation of this business improvement district. I have a short presentation. I'm actually not going to go over the structure of the BID or the budget. That information is in the bill, although we're happy to answer any questions. Really, I wanted to take the time to tell you the story on how we got here. So this all started over a year ago when a meeting was called with 40 of the major landowners downtown to discuss the state of the district. And there was a consensus from the major landowners that the future of downtown was in jeopardy. The issues identified included increased homelessness, assaults and crime in the area, the insanitary look and feel of the district, and the ensuing retail vacancies that we've seen over the last couple of years. And it was discussed that the status quo of the district wasn't going to address itself, and that if we wanted to see the change for the district that we were expecting, the community had to step up and take action. And so coming out of that initial meeting from May to December of last year, we actually broke out into working committees, self-selected working committees, 5 different committees. One was dedicated to safety and security, another one to clean streets and hygiene, activating public spaces. So this was, how do you bring foot traffic to the district? Civic relations. So how could we improve our relationship with government and work with government to uplift the district? And then governance, membership, and finance. So, whatever it is we wanted to do, how would this be organized? How would it be governed? And how would it be financed? And the conclusion of all that research was that a business improvement district for the downtown neighborhood seemed to be the effective solution to address all our concerns. It was a way for us to stand up an entity, a nonprofit entity, to oversee the district as a whole. It was a way to create a funding mechanism to finance the supplementary services that we wanted to see. And it was a way for the community to really govern and manage the district that it was residing in. And so our first opportunity to showcase this to the public was in January of 2025 of this year. We actually hosted a town hall discussion at the YWCA. It was sponsored by Hawaii Business Magazine and Tradewind Group. And it was a sold-out event, a huge success. Over 200 people attended. We had audience members included large landowners, small landowners, businesses, residents, government representatives. And we had a diverse panel, too, to talk about what a business improvement district could look like for the downtown community. And coming out of that presentation, we got pretty broad support from the attendees in the broader community that creating a BID seemed like a good idea for the district. So coming out of that town hall from January of this year to today, we've been pursuing active community outreach. And so contacting all the landowners in the district, large landowners, and making an attempt to talk to the smaller landowners. So we've had meetings with the directors at some of the commercial condos downtown, and we will continue that outreach. We've presented multiple times at the Downtown Neighborhood Board, the Downtown Art Center, and really important that you know this, we're going to be hosting 2 town halls on August 12th for businesses during lunchtime and August 14th for residences in the evening at the current Pickles, the former Walmart building. So still continuing outreach. And where we've been really fortunate is we've gotten extensive media coverage too, as we've gone through this process. So we've gotten coverage from all the media, major news outlets, and not just when we introduced this bill. This is going back all the way to January of this year. We also created a website. So it's dohobid.com, and it's a very simple website that anyone can access, and it shows what the BID would look like, the structure of it, the proposed services, the assessment to landowners, and the boundary. And so we are making it, or trying our best to make it as easy as possible for everyone in the district to know about what is being proposed today. And then lastly, where we are in this process. So we are at hearing number 2 of 6 to create this business improvement district. And so that's really important because there are multiple opportunities in the future to continue our outreach, and that's something we will continue to do. So I really want to thank you for your time and thank the zoning committee for helping us revitalize downtown Honolulu. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fong. Members, I have a series of questions, but I wanted to open it up first if you had any questions, or maybe you want to think about it and let me go through my questions. Is that good? Mr. Fong, in Section 2 of the bill relating to the proposed revised Downtown Honolulu Business Improvement District Plan, it highlights the major changes in the proposed revised plan, including the district's name change, the expanded district boundaries, revisions to the district supplemental services improvements, and revisions to the rate or methods of apportionment of the special assessment. Do you think this bill section should also mention revisions to the composition of the District Association Board and the incorporation of a new budget for the first fiscal year?
That's a great question, Chair. So my read of the process and the bylaws that would be in place is that the stakeholders in the district would actually vote on the board members. So I don't think it would be appropriate, and I don't think we could name who the directors are for the district, but I believe the bill does outline that there would be new board members to represent the larger neighborhood base.
And what about the budget?
So the changes to the budget, was that the question?
The question I said, and the incorporation of a new budget for the first fiscal year in this section of the bill.
You know, I would need to defer to Tyler's team, Councilmember Tam's team, on to remind me the reason for that change. If I recall correctly, though, we made some ancillary changes to just anticipate that the bill or the budget today, sitting here today, is preliminary, of course, because we would continue to work to finalize the budget, and then the budget or the assessments are the result of the tax assessed values of buildings in the district. So we're basing our budget based off of what we see as the tax assessed values today in 2025. But of course, once this would be implemented, 2026 tax assessed values would be out.
Sure. So the reason I'm asking these questions, it's what's on my mind, right? So as we consider both the underlying bill and the CD1 for the next hearing, I guess I want you to contemplate what I'm asking. The second question is, are there 35 parcels included in the current Fort Street Mall Special Improvement District, and are there 2,088 parcels included in the proposed Downtown Honolulu Special Improvement District? Just trying to clarify the numbers.
You know, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. I do know it's about 2,000 tax map keys in the broader downtown district. I don't know it to the number exactly. And as for the Fort Street Mall Business Improvement District, that sounds about right, but I don't know the exact number.
Okay, so please clarify that and get that to me.
Okay.
Third question. Some have expressed concerns that not enough public outreach for the expanded district was conducted, and many property owners, ground lessees, and businesses who would be subject to the special assessment may not fully understand the economic consequences and operational impacts of the proposed district. I do understand that a coalition of local businesses and community members who support this initiative held a panel discussion for downtown stakeholders and residents, and that a presentation was made to the Downtown Chinatown Neighborhood Board. You mentioned in your presentation that broader community outreach included media coverage and outreach to large property owners, smaller AOAO boards, businesses, property managers, and an email distribution list. Did outreach efforts also specifically target small property owners and lessees? And what kind of feedback did you get from these small property owners and lessees?
That's a good question. So we are continuing the outreach. And so as for smaller property owners, you know, we are trying our best to reach out to them. But I think the important thing is we are hosting a town hall specifically for those small property owners that you're alluding to on August 12th. And so, and mailing notices were sent out, I believe, last week of that event that's going to take place on August 12th.
Have you completed and distributed the district's proposed amended bylaws for review by the affected property owners and lessees?
I think that's the next steps for us from this day going forward.
Okay. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam, did you have a question before I asked my last question?
I don't have a question, but I have an answer to one of the previous questions about the numbers of parcels affected.
Did you want to clarify that?
Yes. So I think part of the issue is how many parcels are potentially affected by this. And so the listing on the bill itself contains upwards of 2,000 properties that fall within the district who would be notified of this proposal. The bill only includes non-residential properties, of which there's about 1,330 or so. And then within that, there are about 38 government-owned properties that would also not be subject to the assessments. And so in the interest of starting off the bill with as many properties being notified as possible, that's why there's a list of 2,000, as the bill moves forward and the specific properties that will be assessed are defined, that number will go down to about 1,330.
Thank you. My last question for Mr. Fong. The proposed revised plan removes exceptions from payment of the district special assessment for parcels exempt from the payment of real property taxes because the parcel is used for church purposes or because the parcel qualifies as historic commercial real property dedicated for historic preservation. So those parcels will have to pay the special assessment. Do you have any information on the number and type of parcels that will be affected by the removal of these exceptions under the proposed downtown Honolulu Special Improvement District?
I know who a couple of them are. I think there's actually a few out there. And so, some of the major ones are part of our working groups that we've been talking with over the last year.
Okay, thank you. And I guess we can be in touch as we move forward on amendments. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Mr. Fong. Thank you for the presentation and your explanation. My question first is for this budget, we know that we've been focusing on this. Is this submitted to the Real Property Assessment Office at BFS every time it's modified and its initial budget, or how is it submitted and reviewed?
I believe so. The technicalities on how the budget are submitted, I think I would have to defer to BFS.
Okay, we can do that then later. So I have a question relating to maintenance as well as it relates to city services. I am a neighboring district. I used to have up into Nuuanu Avenue, well, parts of where Councilmember Dos Santos Tam has now, and up to Ala Park as well. And so as a neighboring district, I have a question relating to will the city services receive more attention as a BID, or will it be more self-sustaining and relieve some city services?
So that's a great question. I do think the intent is that it's more self-sustaining. I don't think the intention is that it relieves city services. I think that the rationale here was we recognize that the city can only do so much. Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to take it upon ourselves to provide those additional services. But this wouldn't result in reduced city services. When we've learned this a lot from Waikiki, though, one of the benefits of the BID is that you work very closely with the city services that are in place, right? So the idea would be that we have our BID personnel corresponding on a daily basis with HPD, fire department, parks, maintenance department.
Thank you. And Mr. Fong, some of the maintenance that you mentioned as well as city services is I'm going to use painting curbs, for example. And I was just wondering, because for the past few, maybe 3 city administrations, they have, across the city and county, have not allowed for painting curbs. So what is the difference, and maybe this may be a question for the city administration as well, what would be then the difference for the allowance within the BID versus what is allowed in other types of neighborhoods across the county?
That's a good question. And I don't have the best answer for that right now, but I will tell you, some of the services we provide are just kind of examples of what could be done. And so, it'd really be up to the stakeholders and that board and the management company to decide exactly what maintenance services they wanted to see. I do think we'd expect power washing to be kind of a no-brainer one for the district, but as for equipment fixtures, any other landscaping, that would be up to the association to decide.
Thank you. Because I do know that in the neighboring areas of Kupalama and Kalihi, we do have an active but very much more way smaller businesses in those areas. And so just want to ensure that that city services are spread equitably throughout the city and county as well. I do have a question relating to incidental. We know, I see here that it's relating, first off, you already have a budget for it, as well as certain ways to pay for incidental services. Do you know what would then constitute as incidental services and maintenance?
You know, I don't right now,
Or expenses?
but we can get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions before I call up the administration? Vice Chair Waters.
Thank you. Real quick, good morning. You know, interestingly, I received a telephone call this weekend from a business owner just outside of the district, proposed district, Mauka of Baratania Street. Is there any chance of expanding this district at some time in the future?
That's a great question, Vice Chair. I do think there's always an opportunity to evaluate expansions in the future.
Fair enough, because I think what you're proposing is a great idea, and it's probably going to catch on, and folks outside of the district are going to want to be included. But thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Before I call up the administration, I would like to take public testimony, proceeding first with in-person testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, thank you. Clerks, do we have any in-person testifiers for this item?
Chair, we have a few standing by.
In person?
Yes.
Victor Lim, first testifier.
Hi, good morning, Chair Kia Aina and council members. My name is Victor Lim, and I'm the current chair of 4th Street Mall BID for the past 20+ years. And I just want to say that our 4th Street Mall BID is made up of a lot of small businesses, small merchants, small shops, as well as small property owners. And in the past couple of general meetings that we have basically in attendance the unanimous decision to support the expansion of it, because we know, because we are just restricted on 4th Street Mall, our resources and our ability to do more things are handcuffed. And looking at what Waikiki has done and stuff like that, it gives us an opportunity. And that's the reason why the small shops on 4th Street Mall and the small property owners all do support the expansion of downtown PID. And so we provide a model for the greater good of downtown. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. The next testifier, well, members, any questions? If not, we're going to move on to Warren Wong.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Warren Wong, and I represent the Cariso Group, owns property on Queen Street, Bethel Street, 4th Street Mall, and Bishop Street. So we've also been involved with the Downtown Business Improvement District on 4th Street Mall for the same amount of time as Victor, 23 years. And we find that, as Victor said, we need to expand the services and to create a better, cleaner, and safer environment for the downtown community. And I think the expansion of this BID as provided in Bill 51 would actually help with that. Also, I'd like to say that, you know, as a director for the 4th Street Mall BID, we have a program to outreach to the smaller commercial tenants, smaller business, and smaller property owners to actually give them more information and the ability to access information on a more readily accessible platform. So, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for your
testimony. And we are in
testimony.
support of Bill 51. So if you could please vote for in favor of Bill 51. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, and thank you for clarifying that you're going to be helping to outreach the small business owners. The next testifier is Taylor Ogata.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Taylor Ogata. I was born and raised here, but I'm a student at Santa Clara University, currently interning in downtown Honolulu this summer. Some of these days, I'll stay in downtown after work to grab dinner or take a dance class. But I'll be honest, I don't always feel safe. I feel uncomfortable walking alone or passing through certain streets, and I know I'm not the only one who feels this way. You know, it's hard because after I graduate, I want to come home and work here. I want it to be a place where young people, people like me or the HPU students I see can feel safe, proud, and part of a vibrant, clean community. So I'm here to represent the younger generations who will be working in downtown. And so that is exactly why, for me, the BID is a shared commitment for all of us to come back to downtown and invest in our future. Thank you.
Thank you so much for testifying and showing up. Members, any questions? If not, we're going to move on to Mark Anthony Clemente.
Hello, Chair Kiaina, Vice Chair Waters, members of the committee. Mark Anthony Clemente on behalf of the Hawaii Regional Council of Carpenters. In strong support of this measure. You know, we really urge this committee to pass this measure forward. And, you know, it's really time to reinvest and reignite downtown Honolulu with residential and economic opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. Next testifier, Sandra Pohl.
Good morning. Oh, hello. Good morning, Chair and Council members. My name is Sandra Pohl. I'm the Executive Director of the Downtown Arts Center. I also ran the Lewis Pohl Gallery for 20 years in the district. I also was a tenant on 4th Street Mall 20 years ago. People do not patronize the businesses in the area because of the pervasive stench and filth, the strong negative perceptions of being at risk to violent crimes, and witnessing negative behaviors from the homeless and the drug addicted. And there are so many empty storefronts. We all need to feel safe and positive about downtown. Bill 51 is an opportunity for all stakeholders to do what they can with what they have for our downtown to thrive. This tool and the resources bring together our community's collective ability to get things done. Together we can create our unique sense of place. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. If there's no questions, we're going to move on to Christine Camp.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Chair Kiaina and members of the council. We're in strong support of Bill 51. The time is short. We have a very short window to have this bill approved so that we can be implemented. If we're lucky and if this bill goes forward, it won't start until July 1 of 2026. And so we are hoping that this bill will move forward. It's for the greater good. We own several buildings, and we've been communicating with our tenants. And we will be hosting the town hall with the community group August 12th. At noon, we'll be serving lunch at Pickles at Forte, so please join us. And August 14th at 5:15 p.m. so that those people who can't make it during lunch can come after work on August 14th. We'll also be hosting poo-poos and drinks so that they can come and meet their neighbors for the greater good of making downtown great again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your testimony. And also thank you for your leadership on the conversion of buildings downtown into residential units. Greatly appreciated. Members, if there are no other questions, I'm going to ask if there's anyone else in the council chamber who would like to testify on this item, please come forward to the testifier podium and begin by stating your name.
Oh, sorry, I had it backwards.
Name is Jason Yoshimi, and I'm representing the Hawaii Employers Mutual Insurance Company, also known as HEMIC. We are a building owner, a small building owner in downtown Honolulu. We stand on a written testimony for this legislation. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Clerks, we're going to now proceed to remote testimony. Do we have any remote testifiers for this item or anyone else standing by remotely who would like to testify? Angela, were you going to testify on this item? Okay, you sure you got the bill number? Okay, please move forward.
Thank you, Chair. Angela Melody Young, testifying on behalf of CARES. So I just want to thank OER, Office of Economic Revitalization, and all the work they did with Chinese Chamber of Commerce, Hawaii Theater to do the downtown fashion show. So that's like activating the space, revitalizing the neighborhood, and then also, of course, Chinese Chamber of Commerce, Hawaiian Electric, and the students with the mayor's office, Councilmember Say, also activating space beyond the legislation. So, you know, I can't see a copy of the bill on my phone, but is it a set of classifications of parcels? Because I think it'd be helpful to assessing the financial consequences of how to proceed. So for example, it could start with classification of properties by highest and best use to lowest and least benefiting to the city and its citizens. Churches are charitable organizations providing social services, River of Life. For over 30 years, historic preservation buildings like Hawaii Theater provide entertainment and support the music and film industry. So I think to provide a financial break for these special assessment properties would be beneficial. Corporate companies can't afford to pay.
Thank you for your testimony. And Angela, you know I appreciate you coming here to testify.
Yes.
You know that, right?
Thank you.
But I have to tell you, you need to come and know what the bill is on. You can't just come to say hello to us. Okay?
Thank
You're
you.
not prepared.
Thank you so
And
much.
it's not fair for all of the people who are here who have put a lot of time into this bill. Thank you very much. Next testifier.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. Chulan Schubert Kwok, Chinatown Business and Community Association. I support the concept of this bid, but I'm a little worried that it didn't include Chinatown, which is the twin of downtown Chinatown, even in our city council and even in District 6. Downtown is tied in with Chinatown. I'm afraid that the financial ability and resources of downtown will impact the lack of resources in Chinatown or the ability to form or join the bid so that the crime will migrate over to Chinatown. As it is now, we don't have enough resources. So I'm hoping this bid will include Chinatown so that we're stronger, because you can't push the problem over to the next area. This is our concern. We are already struggling, so I hope that the bigger minds will be able to help us do this together. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. As you know, I had stated earlier at the outset, we will be having another hearing in August on this, and I will take your comments into account and also highly recommend that you work with, talk this through with your council member who introduced the measure.
We support him.
Yes,
but I think you just need to go a little bit more.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Members, any questions? Any other person in the room who would like to testify on this item?
Hello, my name is Kelvin Hulehe. I'm a Konohiki, descendant of Kamuali'i. I want to talk about this improvement for supposed to be all districts, but I'm going to just stay on this bill, number 2 district, superseding any conflicting provision, which we get plenty conflicting provision from way back. But anyway, I'm going to stick to this subject, and I will just tell you my experience of downtown, Chinatown, and I remember we had, you know, like Japan, Japanese garden, and had right by in Chinatown, and you know the culture of what was before. Like I grew up there in the middle '60s or something, and it was kind of raunchy, gambling, prostitution, all kind, drug dealing. And I was involved. I gotta admit, I was one of them. But I was young and I was kind of not informed or whatever, you know. My parents never pay attention to me because I was really Kalohe, do what I like do. And this superseding provision is just like what you guys trying to do, what you guys like do, especially to the Kanaka Maolis from way back, and now especially our queen. So all this kind of provision is a conflict of interest with this kind, you know, superseding whatever, and who get the authority, and who like make this kind of stuff like that. So I just want to voice my concern about how I look at the past of Chinatown. That's supposed to be all small business, because small business is more feeding the regular people, the residents and everything. The corporation that come in is not really owned by locals or have any kind of interest of investment. They make more money, they take them home, and they're not supporting Hawaii. Bottom line, period. So we gotta do with small business for the locals, the residents, because we can identify them more everything. What they're gonna do and what they're gonna bring out with these kind of selling products or whatever that's making Chinatown prosperous or Japantown. And they're supposed to be on culture like that and respecting the certain culture, the good side of our culture. Because every culture get the good, bad, and ugly. So show me the good side, have the culture stay over there. And when people come inside there, have the respect, the law.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
Okay, well, you know, correct this with whoever authority, but yeah, I just like to make them good. And they should have a vagrancy law that only working people or something, they can hang around 10 o'clock or something. That's more safe. So I would recommend on vagrancy law in a suburban area that people are working and be more safe in that kind of environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to now proceed with remote testimony. Clerks, do we have any remote testifiers for this item?
Chair, we have one standing by.
Donna Blanchard, please proceed.
Thank you. I manage Kumukuhui Theater on the corner of Merchant and Bethel Streets, and we're beginning our 55th year of producing full seasons of theater by and about and for the people of Hawaii. In sociology terms, our theater is a vital third place for hundreds of our community members. There's something going on in our building 5 to 7 nights a week, every week throughout the year. We've actively, continuously worked to make our neighborhood safe with the sheriff, HPD, our business and nonprofit neighbors, our council members, homeless directors from the mayor's office, Corps, DAGS, Kalihi Palama Center, et cetera. Yet still running a vital arts organization downtown currently means regularly dealing with verbal and physical threats from people living on our streets, trash strewn around the building and sidewalks, drug activity, theft, and even violence. This bill, I would like to thank Councilmember Dos Santos Tam for it, because for the first time in a long time, it gives me hope, and that's why I support it.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else standing by remotely who would like to testify on this item? Please use the raise hand feature in Zoom or press *9 on your phone to indicate your desire to speak. Clerks, do we see anyone?
Chair, there are none.
Thank you. For the administration, I understand that the Managing Director, Mike Formby, is in the audience. Did he want to testify on this item on top of DPP?
Good morning, Committee Chair and Council members. Mike Formby, Managing Director. Chair, just want to lend my support. Spent quite a bit of time over the last year working with the community. Councilmember Tyler Dos Santos Tam put a lot of work into analyzing the pros and the cons associated with a BID. And the administration believes that it is an initiative coming from the community and we support it. We believe it's really important that we stay ahead of the transition from a principally office building centric downtown to one that has more housing, affordable housing, and other type of activities. And we think it's very important to allow the community to have an interest in public safety, events, and organization of community interests. So we support. I'm happy to answer any questions that the committee might have.
Thank you. I actually had a question just based on the testimony about Chinatown. And, you know, just because it's a hearing, I just wanted everyone to hear. I'm pretty sure that you guys had contemplated that. So do you, is there a reason why Chinatown is not included?
Well, I believe that is principally a decision of the communities themselves. I don't believe that's driven down on the communities, but I'll tell you that we did have pushback from members in Chinatown, especially business interests, who felt like that the density of Chinatown and the 1 to 2 story, sometimes 3-story buildings in Chinatown would be assessed differently than the downtown area. And I think Chinatown already has a police substation, already has both a special district and a historical district designation. And I think that we can start out perhaps by not including Chinatown, and then if it becomes a problem, we can look at an expansion at some point. And that's the good thing about these districts, is there is flexibility. But there was concern that if you take the density of downtown and you automatically overlay that over Chinatown, there would be disparate treatment.
Thank you. And of course, Chinatown has a lot of small businesses who are struggling to get by. Okay, thank you. Members, any questions for the Managing Director? Councilmember Cordero?
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Managing Director Formby. I had a question for Mr. Fong before, but I think this question may be best for the city administration. First off, how will a business improvement district then balance the amount of city services that are offered within the business improvement district, as well as, like, will it require more attention within a business improvement district, or how will it balance between the different neighboring areas?
You know, Councilmember Cordero, I'm not completely sure I understand the question, but you're talking about a balance between the core services that the city provides and the services that would be provided by the BID?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we try to make them as complementary and functional as possible. So this in no way is asking the community, the BID, to do things that the city would and should do. It's not about that at all. It's about allowing a community that has special interests, special events, things that they can do that the city are not good at doing, that they complement the city's roles. And so I've read somewhere where someone commented that this is an opportunity for the city to pass responsibility to the community to do policing, and that's actually not correct at all. Mm-hmm. I think if you look at the Waikiki Business Improvement District, what you'll find is that our activity in the district becomes greater, not less. We actually have a greater interest because then you have an organization that works with us day to day to make sure that we know what's going on the ground. So it's actually a complementary relationship, and it ends up being 1 + 1 = 3, then 1 + 1 = 2. There's synergy in the relationship.
Okay, thank you, Managing Director Formby. And I also was wondering, how about a balance? Let's say there's a focus on downtown and Chinatown, and then the neighboring areas such as Kapalama or Kalihi, then maybe may not have the same type of system like Business Improvement District or other community groups that may be requesting for certain things. I guess the balance in offering city services in that way as well.
I agree with you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, I have a question as it relates to maintenance within the business improvement districts. We know that, let's say, I use painting curbs, for example. We know that the painting curbs red, for example, are not normally done anymore, maybe since the 90s or so. And so if it was to be done within business improvement districts, what would the differences or changes in ordinance or allowance within the ordinance or exceptions within the ordinance, then will that just be done because it's a new improvement district, or will that be changing, I guess, citywide to allow for communities to just take over and maintain certain areas?
Yeah, I'm not, I don't really see it that way. I think that the city continues to have its responsibilities to maintain public infrastructure, but it allows the community to decide whether or not what the city is able to do, given its obligations to the entire county and to other districts, whether or not that community wants to increase some, what I would call low-level maintenance in the district. So for example, we have a sidewalk cleaning program that we do in Chinatown, where DFM will go in with crews and they'll pressure wash the sidewalks. So the downtown business community might decide that the schedule of what we're able to do because of our responsibility to all districts is not sufficient for that district. And using their own funds, they can supplement and decide that they want to do landscaping and pressure washing and other things on top of what we do. But it's not really changing anything that the city would do. It's just allowing them to do it greater and more often if it suits their needs.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair.
I'd like to call up the Director of Planning and Permitting, Don Takeuchi Opuna. You have any comments on this measure?
Aloha. No specific comments. DPP is here to support and provide any information on the land uses, the current land uses, and how that would interact with the bid. And I think that BFS probably plays an important role too as far as the financial part. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions before I make my recommendation? Thank you.
Chair, I just have a quick comment.
Sure.
Thank you. And I'm sure we're going to recommend this positively. I just wanted to make note that, as stated by Managing Director, what's going on in Waikiki is significant. I know it's my colleague's district, but I mean, the way that they've set it up and been able to create an ambassador program, and it's just made a huge difference in the way that Waikiki looks, in the way that they're able to respond to their homeless issues. They have their own case managers. They have an ability to enforce and do just minor, I guess, beautification of the area. I just think it's outstanding. So I'm looking forward to this. And I secondly just wanted to thank as well Avalon Group, because their indoor pickleball that they did inside downtown is just booming. And people are so grateful to have something active in between work to go to. And I just think that this is what we need. If we want to revitalize this area, we're going to have to make a special business district to get this done. And it's going to be advantageous in so many ways. And if you have any questions, just call Trevor from Waikiki Business District and ask him how this has impacted their community, because the businesses are so grateful about how it's improved the money that they make, the way that people can enter their business so that they don't feel like they're in danger. So I'm grateful to see this expanding. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam, did you have any comments to make before I move forward?
No, other than just thank you everyone for the hearing. Thank you to all the testifiers that came through, and I look forward to hearing this at the next month's Zoning and Planning Committee meeting.
Thank you so much. I want to thank Councilmember Dos Santos Tam for submitting the underlying bill as well as his proposed hand-carried CD1. As previously discussed, because of the minimum 15-day advance notice of a public hearing that is required to be sent to all affected landowners and lessees, the earliest the council would be able to hold a public hearing is at the council meeting on September 3rd, 2025. I will therefore be recommending that Bill 51 be postponed to the next committee meeting on August 21st, 2025, to give myself and committee members and everyone else enough time to review the proposed CD1 amendments. That will also provide ample time for the bill to be reported out of committee for second reading and scheduling of a public hearing at the council meeting on September 3rd, 2025. The chair recommends that action on Bill 51, 2025 be postponed to the next Zoning and Planning Committee meeting scheduled for August 21st, 2025. Any discussion, any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. And thank you for all of you who've come out to testify today. Moving to agenda item number 3 for action, Bill 37, 2025 CD1. This bill amends the state land use boundary map, Haleiwa Quadrangle, by reclassifying 7.292 acres of land in Haleiwa, Oahu, from the state land use agricultural district to the state land use Urban District. While this is a state land use district boundary amendment, HRS Section 205-3.1 allows the county land use decision-making authority to determine district boundary amendments involving land acres of 15 acres or less, so long as the land is not located in the state land use conservation district and is not designated as important agricultural lands. The property subject to the state land use district boundary amendment is an approximately 7.292 acre portion, referred to as the petition area, of an approximately 7.525 acre zoning lot identified as tax map key 62005-002, referred to as the Haleiwa property. The remaining 0.233 portion of the Haleiwa property is already classified as within the state land use urban district and consists of a portion of Opai'ula Road. The Haleiwa property is located within the Haleiwa Special District. The state land use district boundary amendment is the first step for the applicant to obtain regulatory entitlements for the planned development of the Haleiwa property, with approximately 150 to 156 low-rise apartment dwelling units, approximately 30,000 square feet of commercial space, parking, and a wastewater management system. Once the site is classified as within the state land use urban district, it would allow for a rezone of the site from the Ag 1 restricted agricultural district to the B1 neighborhood business district and A1 low density apartment district. Opai'ula Road is currently zoned P2 general preservation district, and while excluded from the petition area, it will be included in a zone change application. Keep in mind that ROH section 23-1.6, all petitions for state land use district boundary amendments must be reviewed from the perspective of, first, contribution to the general welfare and prosperity of the people of the county. Second, whether public use, need, or a problem presently exists to serve as a basis for the proposed state land use district boundary amendment. And third, consistency with the Hawaii State Plan and the County General Plan. I would like to go over the difference between an ordinance to approve a state land use district boundary amendment and an ordinance to approve a zone change. Often, a state land use district boundary amendment is the first step in a long approval process that would need to occur before a particular project could be developed on a specific site. Boundary amendments do not approve any projects that are not already entitled for development. For example, the most common boundary amendment is from the state land use agricultural district to the state land use urban district to allow for more intense development of the site, but this would require a rezone of the site from an agricultural zoning district to a more intensive zoning district. At the time a state land use district boundary amendment is considered, many of the details for a proposed project have not yet been finalized and may be subject to change when the applicant applies for zone change approval. When a zone change application is submitted to the Department of Planning and Permitting, specific details regarding the proposed project are disclosed, and the zone change ordinance is accompanied by a unilateral agreement that includes conditions of approval intended to mitigate adverse impacts of that specific project. For example, at the time a zone change application is submitted for the Haleiwa property, details for the project would be finalized, and as previously indicated by the department, the corresponding unilateral agreement could include conditions imposing affordability requirements that may modify the number and area median income levels for the project's housing component. The unilateral agreement may also include conditions requiring the implementation of all traffic mitigation measures recommended in the updated traffic impact analysis report, which the applicant is required to prepare prior to the submittal of a zone change application, and specific transportation improvements that may be recommended by various governmental agencies to address traffic impacts directly attributed to the project. At the zone change approval stage, there will also be more opportunity for community engagement on the specific project that is being proposed. For example, the zone change approval process includes neighborhood board presentations and community outreach prior to the submittal of the zone change application. Processing by the Department of Planning and Permitting that includes sending requests for comment to public agencies, community organizations, adjoining property owners, and other interested parties. processing by the Planning Commission. That includes a public hearing. And 3 readings before the City Council. That includes a public hearing on second reading. There has been much discussion about consistency with the 2011 North Shore Sustainable Communities Plan. The plan's vision is to maintain the rural character, agricultural lands, open space, natural environment, recreational resources, and scenic beauty of Oahu's northern coast. In line with the general plan's policies to preserve the open space and country atmosphere of the rural areas, growth is limited to infill areas within or adjacent to built-up areas to accommodate existing and future housing and employment needs. Note that the plan identifies the petition areas as entirely within the community growth boundary, designates the petition areas as country town, and identifies the petition area for infill development. The department indicated that they have prepared a draft updated North Shore plan, and while it has not yet been distributed for public comment, it will likely be transmitted to the Planning Commission and the Council later this year or early next year. However, consideration of Bill 37 requires consistency with the applicable development plan that is in effect at the time of consideration. Also note that according to the department, development of the Haleiwa property has been in the works for over a decade and began shortly after adoption of the 2011 North Shore Plan. Also note that the Haleiwa property is located within the Haleiwa Special District, which is intended to maintain the largely rural character of the area. Any project for development must obtain a Special District Major Permit, which is processed by the department and involves review for compliance with the Haleiwa Special District Design Guidelines and requirements. Members, the applicant's agent has made presentations on this bill at 3 prior committee hearings when the bill was heard for discussion purposes only at the regular zoning meeting on May 29th, and at a special zoning meeting held the evening of June 17th, and at the regular zoning and planning meeting on June 26, 2025, when the CD1 version was reported out of committee. Joining us in the council chamber is Jim Hayes from Planning Solutions, Inc., who will be providing a brief presentation. For your information, the presentation is available online as Miscellaneous Communication 347-2025, which I understand is the same as the presentation at the last hearing on June 26. Mr. Hayes?
Yes, thank you, Chair Kiaina. And this is the same presentation as you can see on the title page. It has the previous date on it. So we'll go through this quickly since the council or the committee has already heard about this several times. And we very much appreciate the chairperson's explanation of the long process that a project like this has to go through, starting with the boundary amendment that we're talking about today. But there will be substantial opportunities for further input and project refinement through the zone change process that will happen in the future. So this figure illustrates the project site shown in red outline there. And it's between Kamehameha Highway and Joseph P. Leong Highway, or known as the bypass. So right up against the bypass, and behind the existing commercial, industrial, and residential uses that are on the Mauka side of Kamehameha Highway. This aerial photograph illustrates the project site location further, and as you can see from this, it's currently undeveloped, and it has been undeveloped since it was utilized last by sugarcane plantation times, when it was primarily used as a haul road area. But those haul roads were modified with the development of the bypass. Then this drawing illustrates hazard areas like flood hazard zones and sea level rise, coastal flooding hazard zones. And you can see that the project site is outside of these hazard zones. It's one of the few infill area opportunities in Haleiwa town that is outside of all these hazard zones. So we feel like it's a good candidate for development such as what's being proposed. This is the project site shown in a yellow or gold color. indicating the community growth boundary and the district town areas that the chairperson had mentioned in her presentation. And clearly the site is within those areas. And then specifically the petition area in the hatch pattern here, the area that's in yellow is the 7.3 acre area roughly that is being considered for movement from the state agricultural district to the state urban district. And again, you can see it's just Mackay of the bypass and just Mauka of the commercial areas that are already in the urban district on Kamehameha Highway. And I'll say that, you know, this district boundary amendment has been presupposed in previous planning documents, and that is why it also is inside the community growth boundary. It's always been anticipated that infill could occur on this parcel and other parcels nearby, and that's why the community growth boundary is drawn the way it is, to provide for new development to support Haleiwa Town. This is the current conceptual project plan. As the chairperson mentioned, this is just a concept at this time. As the project, should this move forward and the project continue, this will be refined based on input received from this committee, from the Planning Commission, from the public, from the neighborhood board, and other input that we receive. So this is just the concept as it exists today. Includes both rental apartments, 150 to 156 rental apartments, and neighborhood business space. And in compliance with applicable rules in the land use ordinance, it would be designed with low impact development measures, ample parking, and I also wanted to mention we'll comply with all the conditions in the current Bill 37, including the submittal of an updated traffic plan, which is currently being worked on. Our traffic engineer is on vacation currently, but we anticipate that that revised report will be submitted to the city in the coming months, like probably a month or two from now, if not sooner. And that will be reviewed by both the Department of Planning and Permitting's Traffic Division and the Department of Transportation at the state level, and their input will be incorporated. And as the chairperson mentioned, those kind of things can be included in the unilateral agreement. And the unilateral agreement that comes out of the zone change process can also address affordable housing requirements. This slide just indicates if the project was to comply with the existing rules, this would be one way that it could comply. So you're looking at 10% of the units being affordable to 80% AMI group, and then another 20% of the units being affordable to the 120% AMI group. But as we've said throughout the planning process with this project, the project is geared towards what we call the GAP group. It's not a luxury housing development. And the GAP group is generally in that 80 to 120% AMI group. So that's the extent of my presentation, and I'm available to answer questions should you have any. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Members, are there any questions for the Councilmember Okimoto? Do you have any questions? Councilmember Tupola.
Yeah, I have some statements. I don't really have questions. One of the statements that Chair Kiaina just made was that this particular project is not part of what we're voting on today. So I'm going to make some comments, but it's just going to be for your information when we talk with the Department of Planning and Permitting. But thank you for being here, and we do have it. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, if there are no further questions, before I call up the administration, I would like to take public testimony. Proceeding first with in-person testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, do we have any in-person testifiers for this item?
Chair, we have a few standing by.
The first testifier is Denise Antolini.
Aloha and good morning, Chair Kia'aina, Vice Chair Waters, and members of the committee. My name is Denise Antolini Pupake, a resident and member of the North Shore Neighborhood Board. A few points in opposition to Bill 37. First, you have testimony. I hope you've had a chance to read it, including from the Neighborhood Board, the North Shore Chamber of Commerce, Sunset Beach Community Association, several leading business owners in Haleiwa. In addition, I believe Senator Wass submitted testimony directly to you, and I believe Representative Quinlan, and as you know, your colleague, Councilmember Matt Wire, voted no. So it's pretty unanimous, and this morning's testimony, as of counted 243 in opposition. Residents, if you look at all the times that myself and our other residents have testified, it's over 1,000 testimonies that we have submitted to zoning and full council in opposition. So it's pretty overwhelming. You have 3 criteria, as Chair Kia'aina said, to follow. Those criteria are in the revised ordinance of Honolulu. Please refer to my 6 pages of testimony that walk through those criteria and why I believe they are not met. In particular, I want to focus on this last point, if I may, Chair, and conclude.
Sure. Actually, why don't we conclude and then I'll ask you the question.
Wonderful.
Could you further elaborate on your comments relating to the 3 elements of the ordinance?
Thank you. That's a gift. Thank you. Let me start with the planning documents. So specifically, as the applicant presented the community growth boundary, the applicant makes the argument that anything within the community growth boundary is good for urban. That's not correct. If you look at the North Shore Sustainable Community Plan from 2011, which Councilmember Topola and I were trying to pull up again this morning, section 2.2.1, it specifically says that within the community growth boundary, it also allows for open space, preservation, and agriculture. So it's not a fait accompli. Because it's within the boundary doesn't mean it necessarily should be urbanized. Let me get to the first point, which is the community welfare, or it's stated as the public welfare. When you think about the public welfare, you should look and listen to the residents of the North Shore, which are overwhelmingly opposed to it. So it's very difficult for us to think about how the community welfare can be a positive when there is so much strong and very articulate opposition from businesses to longtime residents. So the second criteria is the policies, the need. So the applicant is essentially saying there's a need for affordable housing, and therefore our project fulfills that. As you saw from the last couple of slides, there are only 16 units that are truly planned to be affordable, although they have some that might go up higher. That is very small when weighed against all the policies that favor preservation of agriculture. And in fact, in my testimony, I noted, Chair Kia'aina, Councilmember Topola, your resolution 24-243 from December, creating the Ag Task Force, had a fantastic list of all the ag policies that are so important to us, ag and food security. So you need to value the fact that this is prime ag land. And yes, it may not be attractive to this developer to develop ag, but it is designated prime ag land and can be used for ag. In conclusion, promises related to this project, if they're not made conditions, are really illusory. So technically the project's not before you, but what record do you have to vote on the district boundary amendment if it's not based on the application, which is this project? Sure, there might be details that might be amended later in zoning, but you have to consider what this project is proposing to you in order to vote on the DBA. Otherwise, it makes absolutely no sense. So in conclusion, we hope that you have read the testimony, that you have visited Haleiwa lately, because if you haven't, it's hard to kind of understand the depth of the community sentiment against this project. Chair Kia'aina, thank you for the additional time. I greatly appreciate it. Mahalo.
Thank you. Members, any questions? If not, I would call up the next testifier, Raquel Achu.
Aloha, Chair Kia'aina, Vice Chair Waters, and members of the committee. Raquel Achu, Wailua Moku, in opposition of Bill 37. Although I'm certain this won't be the last I stand in front of you today to ask you, I'm here to ask you today to please consider how strong our community has come out in opposition of this amendment and the project as a whole. We just don't want to be unheard, as I believe our cries are very valid and warranted. We will be forever impacted by projects like this. An approval of this amendment is premature as it doesn't address findings and reports that are necessary for projects such as this. But I want to be very, very clear. This is not about the developer. This is about a project that hugely impacts our way of life and doesn't fit our community in the state that we are in our environment out there. I ask that you truly, really, truly consider what we are saying in all the variety of testimony that you are going to be reading and moving forward, really analyzing what we have to say and what our position is. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Members, there's no other questions or no questions. I'm going to move to the next testifier, Senator Kirk Favela.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to make sure everything goes on. Well, I'm in opposition. A lot of stuff that was said, my mainly thing is environmental. You know, we're asking the developer to come into compliance with the sewer and the area that only has cesspools and whatnot. I have a problem with trying to have this developer or whoever put into a treatment plant that later on in the future or some kind of sewer system that they need to be in compliance in the area. So I just want to let the council members know when they had the flood in that area. I understand when I was driving over, listening to the previous testifying saying that, you know, it's in this area, it's not in this area, it's not in that area. And it wasn't nothing there besides sugarcane. And you know why? Because it was made for agriculture, not for what they are proposing. Like I said, I don't know what's happening with this thing going through. The presentator or the developer knew at the time when purchasing the land. We did this, what's called a juggling act with the state and the city going forward in making the less acreage so that the city can go ahead and make the decision and bypass the land use commission. I think that's a big, big no-no. And we're gonna have to look at that coming up session and going forward to making sure that we can preserve the ag land that we need to continue to feed our families. Because there's nowhere in that plan that I see that they want to make anything to do with sustainability for our using of our agricultural land. So I'm asking you guys to vote no in changing it to urban from agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you. The next testifier is Barb Luke, and I don't know if it's Bo, B-O-E. Yeah, thank you.
Aloha, Madam Chair and committee members. Yes, my name is Barb Lupo. I'm a longtime resident of Haleiwa. I recently retired from a 50-year career in nursing on Oahu and been through my shares of floods, tsunami warnings, evacuations on the North Shore. And if we have anything with this density in Haleiwa, it's going to make evacuating Haleiwa horrendous. If there's any flood threats, the only way out of Haleiwa is up Kamehameha Highway, which is one way in, one way out. Same thing through Haleiwa. So my first thing is safety. My second point is agriculture. The developer knew when he purchased this property that it was ag. Many years ago, it was sugarcane on that area. And I'm wondering, has the current owner attempted to grow crops on his 7.29 acre parcel? Has the zoning committee received any information about details of failed attempts to grow crops? And if so, what remedies were put in place? This is ag land, and it's an issue that our community deserves transparency on. The current owner purchased it as ag. The third point would be traffic. Our town is less than 3 miles from Weed Circle to Haleiwa Beach Park. That is not a very far drive. The traffic is already such a heavy burden on our community. And if we add 156 housing units, there would probably have to be 2 to 3 people renting per unit to pay that type of rent, which if you multiply 156 units times 2 or 3 cars each, that's almost 500 extra cars in Haleiwa. We don't need that type of burden placed on us when we're already so dense with traffic.
If you could please wrap up your testimony.
Yes, I will. Thank you so much. Please allow our voices to be counted. I ask that you vote no on Bill 37. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, can I ask her a
Yes,
question? Can I ask a
Councilmember
testifier a
Okimoto.
question?
Barb, the councilmember has a question for you.
My apologies.
Aloha, good morning. Quick question, based on your testimony, and we understand and appreciate the community and the concerns that you brought to our attention, being that your area is surrounded by a lot of ag land, and understanding that we have to deal with a housing crisis, if not in this location, where would you suggest in your area that we could use, which properties would be viable for us to then
Very good point.
develop such as this that we're
definitely not
talking
against
about?
housing for local families, but just not in the middle of our Haleiwa town. I mean, if you've driven out there, it's horrendous.
So where would you suggest?
Any place besides from Weed Circle to Haleiwa Beach Park on that Kamehameha Highway area. That's the only 1 lane in, 1 lane out for all the businesses there and local people to go to Ace Hardware, to the grocery store. It's not a place for housing.
Thank you.
I don't
guess-
have an ideal.
Thank you.
Councilmember, if you don't mind, several testifiers in previous hearings have actually answered that questions. If you don't mind, I'd like to have Rachel Achu or Denise Antolini come and answer the councilmember's questions, because I know that you had specific areas.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Raquel Achu, Wailoa Moku. So we're not against housing at all, but we do want responsible housing, and we do have a tentative project that is being proposed and worked on right now with another developer in the Mill Camp area in Wailua. And they are not asking for a rezone, but it is favorable because it was already there. It was old plantation housing, and that will accommodate for over 350 units.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that again. I think it's good for us to hear because we know that the testifiers will often come and say not here, but other council members have had developments in other parts of the island. So we want to make sure that we're understanding that to address the need, it's not just everywhere but here.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. And our neighborhood board hasn't taken a position on that project yet. It hasn't formally been presented, but they have presented to the board in attempts to be transparent with their intentions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you so much. The next testifier is Karen Gallagher.
Aloha, everybody. Appreciate your time. Karen Gallagher, a long time, since 1979, North Shore resident, business person, business owner, grandma. Just a lover of the North Shore and the country. That's why I moved there, because I love the country. And I just want to say a few things. First of all, it's been noted how many people have testified against this, and that doesn't count all the people that just come up to us daily and are against it. And to my acknowledgement, the only people that are for this are people in the carpenter's profession, which is just kind of a fact. And so what I would like to say, I would like to really appreciate the chair's acknowledgement of the Oahu General Plan, which I believe backs us up on all of our testimony against this project. One thing that was interesting is you guys are living in Oahu and you call it a low rise. And from Oahu's perspective, 3 stories is low rise, but from Haleiwa perspective, it would be the highest building in the whole area. Besides, I think this Haleiwa Seniors is also 3 stories. So I just think it's a slippery slope too to expand the boundary. Like you don't know if it's gonna keep expanding or kind of a slippery slope. Anyway, I know my time's up. I just like to just share this quote, and then I'll be done. So share a small quote from the Baha'i Universal House of Justice. Humanity's collective life suffers when any one group thinks of its own well-being in isolation from that of its neighbors, or pursues economic gain without regard for how the natural environment, which provides sustenance for all, is affected. A stubborn obstruction, then, stands in the way of meaningful social progress. Time and again, avarice and self-interest prevail at the expense of the common good. Which much aloha, Karen.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions? If not, we're going to move on to Travis Murakami.
Sorry. Hello, council members. My name is Travis Murakami, and I'm a member of the Carpenters Union who lives in Kahului. I'm testifying in strong support of Bill 37. This project would directly benefit workers like me who often spend hours on the road due to the lack of affordable housing near the North Shore. Haleiwa Backyards is a realistic solution that honors existing planning policies while providing a place for our workforce to live. This site is not active farmland. It's near shops, highways, and jobs. CD1 includes important safeguards like a traffic study, a future traffic study, and farming protections. This is smart, balanced planning. Let's make progress on housing. Please support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next testifier is Juan Padastao Jr.
Aloha, Chair Kiaina, Vice Chair Waters, and members of the committee. My name is Juan Padastao Jr., and I'm a member of the Hawaii Carpenters Union. I strongly support Bill 37 CD because it is a step to giving our local workforce a first shot at living where we work. Right now, I know too many good workers, people with steady jobs who can afford to live anywhere near the North Shore. They drive in from all over the island to work on projects, spending hours on the roads instead of time with their families. That's not right. This bill would reclassify land that's already bordered by roads, stores, and parking lots. It is not productive farmland. Right now, there are homeless folks. It is exactly the kind of place we should be using to build homes for our people who power this island. Please don't let perfect be the enemy of progress. This is thoughtful, workforce-focused housing. I urge you to pass Bill 37 CD1. Mahalo for your time and in listening to our people who build Hawaii. Thank you.
Thank you. Next testifier is Fred Tamayo.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, committee. My name is Fred Tamayo, and I'm a member of the Carpenters Union. I'm urging you to support Bill 37 CD1. I was in the field during construction about 3 months ago. I'm speaking on behalf of the men and women who can't be here today to testify, but I have signed letters in support of Bill 37 CD1. Haleiwa is a place where many of us work, but very few of us can afford to live. The disconnect pushes workers farther away and strains our family. This bill helps correct that by reclassifying land that is already well-suited for housing. The land is within the community growth boundaries, not productive ag land, and CD1 ensures develop responsibly. It's a practical, well-planned answer to a real housing problem. Thank you for your time and your leadership on this issue. Mahalo.
Thank you so much. The next testifier is Dion Kalaola.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Dion Kalaola, and I'm a member of the Hawaii Regional Council of Carpenters, testifying in strong support of Bill 37 CD1. This reclassification will help deliver something our island desperately needs, which is, of course, housing. Haleiwa Backyards represents a chance for construction workers, teachers, service workers, and others to live near the communities they serve. This is not a luxury development. The CD1 conditions are sound and responsible. So let's move forward with solutions. Thank you for your time and considering my testimony. Mahalo.
Thank you. The next testifier is Mitchell. And I'm not sure if I could read this handwriting. Is it Tyans? You can pronounce your Tynanis. Okay.
Good enough. Thank you. Hello, Chair and Committee. My name is Mitchell Tynanis. I'm a proud member of the Hawaii Regional Council of Carpenters, here to voice my support for Bill 37, CD1. As a community leader in Eva, or should I say Eva Beach, I've seen these types of proposals come through our community. I believe that every community needs to be part of the solution to our housing crisis. This bill is about keeping working people close to where they work. Too many of us in the trade spend hours commuting each day because there are no affordable options nearby. Haleiwa Backyards is different. It's designated for the local workforce. The CD1 version protects nearby farms, ensures proper traffic analysis, and supports thoughtful growth within the boundaries that has already been agreed upon as a community. Please let this bill pass and give working families a real opportunity to stay on the North Shore. And just as a second real quick note, I have a lot of family members out there that I've talked to that's not in support of this bill, but I question what is their concerns, and he said primarily it's the traffic. So if he can kind of get that issue down, I think it might be ease a lot of concerns. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next testifier is Mark Anthony Clemente.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, committee members. Mark Anthony Clemente on behalf of the Hawaii Regional Council of Carpenters, representing over 6,000 hardworking men and women here in Hawaii. I just want to stand on my written testimony, but I want to highlight a couple things. We're talking about reclassifying less than 8 acres of ag land to urban. In our state, in Hawaii, we have about 1.93 million acres of agricultural land. About 70% of that is not productive. Those pieces of land were thrown in there because they just don't fit conservation, they don't fit rural. So I just want to highlight that point when we talk about keeping ag for growing food to feed our people. And also in my last testimony to this council, I mentioned that while we are importing a lot of food, again, we're exporting a lot of our locals. I believe that every community needs to be part of the solution to this housing crisis. So mahalo for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. The next testifier is John Bilderback.
Aloha and good morning. Thanks for your time. The North Shore is not a standard community on Oahu. We are also one of the greatest tourist attractions. It's my understanding that 51% of all visitors to Oahu come to the North Shore. That means the left side of every airplane will visit the North Shore. Traffic is our biggest problem, and one of the questions I've asked repeatedly is what's the maximum number of cars we can have on Oahu? I've never gotten an answer. And so my opinion is that greed shouldn't be the overwhelming principle when determining what we do with our communities. And one of the safeguards against that is zoning. Zoning is a promise to the community that areas will be taken care of. And before you change anything, you should have the permission of the community, not just the carpenters, to change that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next testifier is Rex Dubiel Shanahan.
Good morning, Council. Thank you so much for letting me speak this morning. I'm a teacher at Sunset Beach Elementary School, and I'm going into my 38th year there. I'm also the Vice President of the North Shore Outdoor Circle, and I've had that volunteer position for 35 years. I'm here to support everyone who's testified in opposition of this Bill 37. I have a vested interest in my community. I've taught over 900 children out there who are now adults, and I'm actually teaching their children. I want to preserve our community, and especially Haleiwa. When I came to the North Shore, there was no cable, and that's how long ago it was. It's a beautiful community. I love it. I'm an Army brat, and I only lived other places 2 to 3 years, and I've been on that property at Rocky Point for 51 years. Our community deserves to be rural, to continue to have our plantation life, to preserve what people from around the island come to see, and all the visitors, and especially to preserve our quality of life. Please vote no on Bill 37. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the council chamber who would like to testify on this item? Please come forward to the testifier podium and begin by stating your name.
Angela Melody Young, testifying on behalf of CARES. I'm wishing to comment. I studied. So page 1, item number 2, address housing crisis by allowing development of reasonably priced housing with access to school services and amenities. Yet I have to question, are you implementing a solution in a random zone? Because I think the problem, as I'm perceiving it, I'm not from the community, so I don't have a conflict of interest. Also have people and friends in the construction and housing development industry, so I'm just trying to be as neutral as possible. I think the problem is choosing a side. The solution presented is making available parcels by amending the zones to create flexibility to develop in ag zones. And yet when you read the Sustainable Communities Plan for the North Shore, 2.21 says protect ag, 2.24 says promote the country town. And so the implications of rezoning is that you're prioritizing one goal above the other, housing above INA-based agriculture development, or you have to choose keeping the country above housing. And we do see the state policies having a shift to provide for ag, so you can really activate those ag parcels with state policies, right? And yet,
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to testify in person? Please come to the podium and begin by stating your name.
Felina Maine, I'm Zaz. This is my 4th time testifying in firm opposition of converting agricultural land to urban in Haleiwa. If this conversion passes, it basically green lights a Waikiki 2.0 being constructed in our historic town. Many concerns surround this project. It's a lot of density in a small acreage, from 30,000 square feet of retail space to three-story tall buildings with 156 unaffordable units and over 500 parking stalls, some of which are underground. So for the record, our town does not have any 3-story tall buildings or underground parking. There's 27 storm drains on Haleiwa Backyard's master plan. If 1 inch of rain per acre equates to 27,000 gallons of water, that means 189,000 gallons of rainwater would fall on 7 acres. Where would these storm drains flow? For the record, Haleiwa Town does not have any storm drains. Concerns about light pollution at night from this project development have raised, especially since North Shore is one of the last towns on island with minimal light pollution. From May through mid-December, we have turtle nesting season and fledging bird season, and currently DOT cannot finish the road on Kamehameha Highway at night due to that. So how will the imposed project affect our wildlife? Think about the additional streetlights that will be built and how many multiple 40-foot tall apartment units at night with lights would project in the ocean light and night skies, fatally diverting wildlife off their natural course. In over 10 years, there still hasn't been an updated North Shore Sustainable Community Plan, environmental impact statement, or traffic assessment. Just because it checks all the boxes and criteria on some paper with DPP does not mean it's right for our community, the wildlife, and environment, especially in that location. Our community and people across Oahu strongly oppose, so we started a petition on July 18th, and within 10 days, we have over 1,000 signatures. You can find this petition on www.change.org/A'ole Backyards. If I have a second, I would like just to read it to you guys. I did submit an online testimony, but I would just like you to hear what 1,000 people and myself have signed. We humbly ask our City Council and Mayor and Department of Planning and Permitting to reverse course and say ole to the backyard state land use district boundary amendment that would allow another large commercial center and dense unaffordable housing in Haleiwa by converting 7 acres of land of ag to urban and rezoning for apartments and commercial. Now is the time to stand up for Haleiwa and say ole. And aye to a sustainable rural future for our community town. Haleiwa is a historic community on the North Shore. It's a vibrant town that thrives on its own unique rural charm and respects its plantation legacy. Today, Haleiwa is facing significant challenges due to increased traffic, inadequate infrastructure to handle exploiting tourism, and a renewed attempt by developer Andy Anderson to build a large-scale commercial and housing development. This massive, dense project will forever alter the landscape and change the future area from ag to urban. Residents from the North Shore and across Oahu who love Haleiwa have expressed overwhelming opposition and concern to this project due to adverse impacts on the area's rural lifestyle, infrastructure, and preservation of cultural heritage. Now, I would just like to take a second to show you
No,
that.
thank you. No, I'm sorry.
We have over 1,000 signatures. This
Okay.
is them. Physical, it's also online as well. I sent it to all you guys, but we have over 1,000 signatures from the
Thank you.
community, and it's still
If
building.
you want, if that is in addition to what you've submitted, you can give it to the clerk's office. Is it in addition? Or did you already send it?
I submitted it online for
Okay.
my written testimony.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in person who would like to
Please oppose.
testify?
Good morning. My name is Earl Dolan. You probably heard me on the radio. I did a surf report for KSSK Radio for the last 25 years. And whenever I have a concern, I always talk on Mike, and well, it used to be Larry, he's not there anymore. But I'm really concerned. I lived in Haleiwa town since 1959. I've seen the changes. Last night, I heard something disturbing on the news. It was done by Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson came up with one word last night is, this does not impact the traffic on the North Shore. You know what? That is a bunch of bull. I invited you people on the board when Mr. Waters was up on the thing. I invited you guys on the board to come out to the North Shore. I will walk the whole course with you so you guys can see what we're against. Our committee down here over in the North Shore is 95% of us do not want this. Please, don't cover your eyes or your ears. See what we got. Go down to the North Shore on your own. Look what we got, and you will see the thing. I walked the thing the other day on that. Food trucks. We got 25 food trucks there in Haleiwa town, so the traffic is messed up. I've seen traffic go from Laniakea Chandri all the way to the bypass, past the water tank going up the hill. Coming into Haleiwa, it's a dead stop. It's like morning traffic, really, really bad. For me to go to the store, I need to go by 9 o'clock in the morning or late in the evening. Please, look ahead and see what's there, because we sure can use your help. The country is country. You're talking about housing. We got a lot of land up the mountain, you know. You can get land up there. You can put your housing up the mountain across the road, and that would eliminate all the traffic in town. And about this, people working in Haleiwa town, guess what? The people who's going to buy those homes does not work in Haleiwa town. They work out from the town. They work out from the town. If anybody tell me, I'm going to buy a $500,000 house, and with the income of what I do in Haleiwa town, that is a bunch of bull. It does not work. Over here, people on the North Shore needs to have 2 persons working. The vehicles, 400 to 500 vehicles added to our little town. Remember, from Wahiawa to Kahuku, it's only one lane in and one lane out. Kaukanoho Road, one lane in, one way out. Getting down to Wailua, all the way to Mokuleia, one road in, one road out. Is that feasible? I thank you very much for your time, and I really appreciate it. And mahalo.
Thank you so much. Anyone else in person before we go online? Please identify yourself.
My name is Kanoa Dallin. Aloha Chair Kia Ana, Vice Chair Waters, and the panel. We need to be responsible stewards of the Aina for all our future keiki. The land and waterways need to be protected, preserved, and restored. Since the 1800s, the illegal seizure of our islands, the wealthy and the state has allowed the burial and destruction of our water sources as well as agricultural lands for private interests and investments. According to scientific experts, America's topsoil will be dead by 2050 due to industrialized agricultural practices. We live on a rock in the middle of the sea. What happens when the food imports stop and natural resources as water and viable soil are tainted, buried, discarded, or destroyed? Our keiki's future will have no means of self-sustainability because our present leaders chose to turn a blind eye and sell out these precious resources for privatization. How will our generation explain to keep keiki and grand keiki and our grand keiki we blew it and let this happen? To those before me, please be heartfelt and take a real moment to think about how would you face your grandchildren in humility and explain how we let this happen starting back in 2025. North Shore has the last of the prime life-supporting resources. Protect our land and water for future generations by opposing this bill, please. Set the precedence now. The life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness. Council, you have a kuleana to uphold this great quote by King Kamehameha III as your successors of his leadership. I humbly ask that you please vote your conscience with your grandchildren in mind. Mahalo for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the chamber who would like to testify in person?
Oh my gosh, I hope I can see. Can I put this? My name is Barbara Hudman, and I'm with the Konohiki group. Right now, it's knowing statehood in Hawaii. The United States Treaty was established in December 20th, 1849 to the Hawaiian Kingdom. Then they busted the treaty in 1893 by invading Hawaii and overthrowing Queen Liliuokalani and its monarchy. A very peaceful, nonviolent nation the world needs to know about. The Iolani Palace video stated that annexation did happen in 1898 is bogus. It did not happen, misleading all the tourists from 1982 to this present time that we are not the 50th state. The state of Hawaii needs to prove ownership of the royal patent lands, crown lands, and ceded lands in writing for the royal family signature, so that the allodial title is a private property forever. State of Hawaii corruptions, stealing allodial title lands by using leases and land claims. The state of Hawaii is operating illegal contracts in Hawaii. The state of Hawaii is not following the rule of law. The state of Hawaii does not have Konohiki status to manage Hawaii. Iolani Palace is theft committed by the state of Hawaii, the Konohikis.
Thank you. Anyone else who'd like to testify in person?
Hi, my name is Gabriel Gross, and I'm a resident of Wailua, and I want to testify in opposition to the change of zoning in regards to, well, anybody who lives or rides through Haleiwa on a daily basis, any day of the year. We are completely congested with traffic, and any building adding to that stretch is going to add to the traffic, add to the stress, which is something that typically everybody lives in town or any part of the south of the island goes through. I like to think that the North Shore is a special place that we can go to and not have to go through that. And adding people specifically to that area, adding cars, it doesn't have a infrastructure to handle more traffic. And like Uncle said here, it's one lane in, one lane out, and really has no more space to handle that much traffic. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in person who would like to testify?
Hello, my name is Kelvin Hulehe Konehiki. I oppose this Bill 37 because, the main issue is traffic, and well, two of them, agriculture, our food supply is main thing. Then the traffic to be the process of coordinate, organizing. That's the main thing. You guys never organize them good. And from way back, you guys even disrupt our organization of the Kingdom of Hawaii because that was our food supply, and you guys really, what is that? Like genociding the Hawaiian people of their own resources? Seems like it, but anyway, I'm just gonna come with evidence today. The evidence for Hawaii, allodial land claims ethic, allodial lands and fee simple lands, 1851 speech on allodial titles, and fee simple to aliens. List of cases preceded applicable to allodial lands. Article showing case of Keiki versus Dennis, and case of Kepani versus John Watson. Not necessary to go to court. Charles Reed Bishop and white annexationists, conspirators listed on Provisional Government Directory. White annexationist assistance article, Kamehameha schoolboys, Ponoho schoolboys. Claimed annexation, a fraud claim, ethics. Professor William Chang, UH Manoa, Dr. Alfred M. Desais, Professor United Nations, U.S. Justice Memo.
If you could wrap up your testimony, I'd appreciate it.
1969 article, U.S. invasion of Hawaii, 1893. Illegal overthrow of Queen Liliuokalani in 1893. Kamehameha dynasty, allodial lands. Reference to all speeches of Kamehameha III. The Iolani Palace annexation video is fraudulent, did not happen in 1898. The Iolani Palace opened in 1982 to this present time, misleading the tourists of annexations. Did not happen in 1898.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Is there anyone else?
Okay,
Is there anyone else in the chamber who would like to testify?
Koleiki. I oppose Bill 37. Rezoning Haleiwa land is theft. The state doesn't own the land. The city doesn't own the land. The state have no jurisdiction in this island. The city needs to prove the lands and ownership before rezoning. The city needs to prove they have Konehiki status for Haleiwa. The city do not follow the rule of law set by Kamehameha III. The city operated on illegal contracts, not by the rule of law. The city do not own allodial title and collecting property taxes. The city property taxes is a scheme for residents to force to pay. The city fraudulent entity government is in Hawaii is no annexation and no legal ownership. The lands are needed to prove. All of you folks are accountable for this. The developer have no right the developer has no right to build on allodial title land. The city department and the developers are committing war crimes. The city is not following the Constitution of the United States. Now, what I have here is a treaty. Kingdom of Hawaii is now Great Britain, France, Denmark, October 19, 1846.
Sir, you're going to have to wrap up your testimony.
Okay, look, I'll make it short right now for all of you to see this. There's 20 countries of treaty. So you folks are not the 50th state. Can you folks prove this? And can you folks prove the city is the 50th state? Can you folks do that? So you folks are illegal.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Clerks, is there anyone online who would like to testify?
Chair, we have a couple standing by.
The first is Larry McElhaney. Hey, aloha, Larry. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. Larry McElhaney. Aloha, Chair Kiaina and council members. There's two topics I'd like to speak on very briefly. The first one being the overwhelming opposition to this proposal. As you guys know, the numbers are extraordinary. Over 1,000 testimonies so far have been submitted in opposition to this proposal, and just a handful of support. And I would really encourage you folks to please read the testimonies. They're incredibly detailed, they're incredibly accurate, and they address most of the issues that the chair presented in her justification earlier. So if you council members have any doubts or any questions about these issues, about the process and conditions that should be included or traffic studies, please, most of the answers are in the testimonies. Take the time to read the testimonies. I beg of you. The second issue that is bothering me is the fact that our council member, Matt Wire, is not getting the support that he deserves. I understand it most of the time, and I'm not sure the percentage, but most of the time, the other members of the council will defer to the council member of the district. And I just believe that Councilmember Wire has done an outstanding job for our community. He's right on point on this issue. He's voted no against this issue already. Please, fellow council members, support the council member of the district, support Matt Wire. One last thing. If you read through those testimonies, you're going to discover several of them that are just incredible as far as the way they address the issues and clarify these sticky points. Professor Antolini's testimony is masterful. If you read no other testimony, please read hers, and you'll see some very serious problems with the way this issue has been processed. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. I am going to read off the names of individuals who signed up online, although I know several of them are not signed on, but I'm going to read their names anyway. Nanalu Kamananui Ahupua'a. Are they online?
Chair, testifier is not logged on.
Ryan Benz.
Testifier is not logged on.
Linda Molina.
Testifier is not logged on.
Luna Courtois. Or Courtois. Are they on?
Chair, testifier is not logged on.
Not logged on. Okay. The next person is Tara Rojas.
Aloha.
Aloha,
Yeah,
Tara.
aloha.
Please proceed.
Okay, wait. Since I'm on the phone first before you start, I cannot see any timer. How many minutes do I have?
1 minute.
Hey, 1 sec.
Clerk, could you
have to be
please put the
equal,
timer
'cause-
on?
Excuse me, wait. Other people have more than 1 minute. I was taking time. Is that random just for me?
Tara, could you please proceed? What I normally do is I will, if you go over, I will give you a notice and then, or I will ask you a question. Please proceed.
Okay. I would like at least 3 minutes because majority everybody was 3 minutes. Okay. So that's wrong right there. So first, those who have actually AO to all who spoke about the kingdom and true jurisdiction, that comes before everything else. 2, I'm hearing the mode of operation. I spoke up at the Ka'u community meeting, even to OHA. Your mode of operation is going by the bylaws. Number 1, the community is saying they don't need it. It's not needed, and you heard all the reasons why. Just, with utmost respect to the carpenters there, you are going to be for it because that's going to provide your jobs and incomes. However, once you're done, like how you said, you're not able to afford there. When the job is done, you're not going to be able to afford there. So all in all is how many times does the community have to say no? Just once is enough. It's kind of, if you think of what area this is heard in, this whole culture of no is no. In the area, I'm just going to say it's like pretty much no and no. So unwanted sexual advantages, even like for rape. This is rape of the land. And then for what? Prostitution for amount. It's going to be $2,500 a month for supposedly affordable. I can't afford that. To $3,500. Who can afford that? Now, that price, that's just the base mortgage price, not including any utilities at all. Now, we know there's a homeowner insurance price. Now, the sewer fee increase that you guys did all listen to neither. And the water. If there was, like, for example, here in Eva Beach, Honolulu, a water leak, like there has been in Eva community, and I spoke with the person, and they're paying, they don't know, it's unknown. The Board of Water Supply don't even know. $500 a month or so, who can afford that?
Tara, you're going to have to wrap up.
All is said and done. Yeah, so when all is said and done, one, I might file for the first time complaints because not everybody's getting the same amount of time. I've been taking the time. And you cut off Melanie and then myself. So I don't appreciate that. I'm just going to say that you need to listen to the community. Jobs can be found anywhere. Residents and lives and their way of living and their well-being is being heavily impacted. You heard both sides. You heard all the strong testimony against. So just listen to the community is living there. You had enough time to go to the community and get that walkthrough so you can see how it is. And basically, and lastly, safety and food should be top priority. Safety and food.
Thank you so much. I see someone online. Could you please unmute? Clerks, would you please unmute the testifier with her hands up? Please proceed and introduce yourself.
Hello, dear council. My name, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
My name is Linda Molina. I am an agronomist engineer and a resident of Haleiwa town. I want to express my concern about this plan to change agricultural land into residential land. I strongly oppose Bill 37. First of all, I want to respectfully remind the council that on the crucial importance that agricultural land has on the island of Oahu, as we have a large permanent population. At this moment, we have most of our food supplies shipped from overseas, but it is crucial to conserve our precious agricultural lands, not only to secure our food supply, but our survival as an island in case they're necessary. The professionals that planned this original zoning had in consideration the quality of the soil and the water requirements for cultivating in this land. Respectful Council, in your hands it lays the big responsibility, in your hands it lays the big responsibility to preserve our autonomy and survival for us and the future of our keiki. Now, I did a little research, and so we have 386,000 acres in Oahu, which only a 4% is actually usable as agricultural land. That only leaves us with 15,000 acres.
If you could summarize your comments, please.
I'm almost done. Now, if you think about this, we have 1.4 million residents in the island of Oahu. So for us to actually be self-sufficient, we will need 1,246,000 acres to provide the food for 1 year for 1.4. So when you talk about a 7 mile of precious, incredible land that is being zoning, to me, this is a big deal. You know, this is our goal, our survival. So I really hope you guys consider this because making your decision. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you. Is there anyone online, anyone else online who would like to testify?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, thank you. Members, before we call up the Department of Planning and Permitting, if you would indulge me, I'd like to call up Rachel Achu for a couple of questions. Rachel, do you mind? Because
Raquel.
as you know, there's many of us who support.
Raquel.
I'm sorry, Raquel, what did I say? Oh, Raquel, sorry. Raquel, you know that we support agriculture, so I just want to, I've talked one-on-one with some folks. I just want to understand the history because you guys know when the property was bought, was there any effort since the land was bought or prior to that where the community or someone in the community sought to buy the property so that they could move forward with agriculture?
Well, originally, no one was aware the property was for sale when it was purchased. So it was part of Dole's inventory.
Okay.
So I am not aware of anyone trying to farm the land prior.
Now, since it's been bought, because, you know, we have the city's Clean Water and Natural Lands Fund, and a lot of people think about that fund to only purchase land for conservation purposes, but in fact, it could also be used to buy agricultural properties.
Yes.
Most recently, the city provided $9 million to be part of a larger hui to acquire over 100 acres of agricultural lands in Honolulu.
Yes.
The majority of those properties are going to be for kalo cultivation. And so my question is, so we are going through this process. My question is the community, because as you know, I stated earlier, should this boundary amendment move forward, there's still a lengthy process, but that doesn't mean that there can't be an effort to try to acquire this property. So I guess my question is, you know, there are various ways that it could be used, right? Even if it were to be used, someone can't be denied if they were to acquire the property for agricultural purposes. The city, of course, could consider acquiring it, whether it be for a transportation mobility hub, for an affordable housing project, or to create community gardens for the parks, Department of Parks and Recreation.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just get back to the community first. So even having said that, with these current processes underway, is there anyone in the community considering potentially buying this parcel now?
I can't speak for the group, but I have heard talk of people entertaining that
Okay, so
option.
I'm just mentioning this, I'm talking out loud here.
Yes.
And the reason I'm talking out loud here is I do know that with regard to the use of the Clean Water and Natural Lands Fund for agricultural acquisition, I believe that there's a lot of support. So it depends on the unique circumstances. But thank you. I just wanted to know, and because whatever happens today, I don't want the community to feel defeated. The fact of the matter is, there is other ways to achieve your objective.
Yes.
And the boundary amendment itself is not going to change anyone's ability to develop agriculture on this property. And that's all I just wanted to say, but you answered my question. I just wanted to know why it wasn't acquired. Now you told me, but since it's acquisition, which was shortly after the last North Shore Sustainable Communities Plan, why there has not been an effort prior to this consideration of boundary amendment to acquire it. But this is actually food for thought for our city agencies. It's something that I've talked about just because of all of the testimony. So I just don't want you to think that your testimony is not falling on deaf ears. So thank you very much for your time. Members, any other questions before I move to the administration? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'd like to call Don Takeuchi Apuna, Director of Planning and Permitting.
I missed.
Thank you, Chair. We are supportive of the proposed CD1 and we're available for any questions.
Members, are there any questions? Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you, Chair. Aloha, Director. I do have a slew of questions. I, of course, thank you, Chair, for all your clarifications. So some of the things I'm going to say may be repetitive to what she said earlier, but it's just for my own clarifications. So we're talking today about the community growth boundary, which was outlined in the North Shore Sustainability's Community Plan and somewhat inside the Oahu General Plan. So I'm just going to read a part of it, then ask some questions just about the boundary, okay? The community growth boundary defines, protects, and contains communities in areas which the general plan designates rural and which exhibit the physical characteristics of rural lifestyles. The boundary provides adequate lands for facilities needed to support established communities and protects these communities from more intense land uses and patterns of development associated with more urban areas. So the question I'm going to ask here is, by voting on this today, does Bill 37 change that area to urban, or is it still zoned agriculture? The 7 acres.
So I might rely on staff for more details, but my understanding is the boundary amendment is to the state classification from agriculture, state agriculture to state urban.
But that doesn't affect the county zoning, am I right? Is it still going to be zoned agriculture?
It will until there's a rezone, if that is in the plans moving forward.
So the next question I have, it says the community growth boundary preserves areas outside the boundary for agriculture or other resource open space values. Where appropriate, the area within the boundary also contains open space elements considered essential to the character of a rural community being defined. So say we vote yes on this. Does that include that it could be a park, that it could be open space, that it could be many other things besides a housing development?
Yes.
My next question is, it says a healthy agriculture industry continues to generate economic opportunities that are appropriate in the region's open space and rural qualities. So there is, in the North Shore Sustainability Plan, rural and rural residential. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but rural says that it's supposed to be 1 to 3 houses every such and such an acreage. And then rural residential is 5 to 8. So if we did rural residential, it really would only be approved for about 35 houses, not 150. So say, for example, hypothetically, we talk about that area, even if it was changed to like R5 or whatever the zoning is, wouldn't it still be rural, or is it not going to be rural anymore? Because in the map, it says that that area of Haleiwa is rural. No matter if we change the boundary or we don't change the boundary, no matter if we change the zoning or not, it's still considered a rural community. Am I correct?
I believe you're correct, but I will defer to our planning chief to provide more detail.
Hi, good morning, Chair Kia Aina and members of the council. Dina Wong, Chief Planner with DPP's Planning Division. That area is actually designated as a country town on the in the 2011 plan. And so it contemplates having more mixed uses, some commercial, residential uses, and developing on that site would require a Haleiwa special district permit. And approval of that will ensure that rural design guidelines are followed.
So we're not at that point, correct? We're not voting on that today.
No, today before you is the bill to change the state land use designation.
So let's talk about what you just brought up. You just said if they do apply for a Haleiwa special district permit, then you would have to talk with them through the rural characteristics of the development, correct?
Yes. There are design guidelines for the special district to ensure that rural character is followed.
Yeah, so just for the record, I just want to say, because everyone asked me to read it, I read every single page in the North Shore Sustainable Communities Plan and the tourism plan and all the other stuff on the website. So that's my concern. Only because I've had that asked to me as a representative of Waianae, hey, can we put 200 houses here? And I'm like, no, we're not putting 200, like maybe 20. It's just small areas that are too compact to put that in there. So it's just not realistic. But we're not at that point, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Chair, is it okay if I continue on? Okay, the next question I had was about the cost of housing. And today we're not voting on this project, but unfortunately it's part of the presentation. So I have to ask the question. There's only 3 AMIs included, right? If I'm not, it's 80%, 120%, and market rate. So 80% AMI, and I'm reading through the North Shore Sustainability Communities Plan. It's saying that for a single family home with an annual income of $76,000, that it would be priced at $365,000. And it says, assuming a 10% down payment and financing at 5.4%. Now, the North Shore Sustainability Plan is outdated. Unfortunately, it's from 2011. Right now, nobody is getting any financing at 5.4%. Right now, it's between 7 and 8% to get a loan, and 10% down is super hard. So I'm bringing this up because any possible housing that's in that area is already overpriced. So last year, we already had 17% increase because of valuations. So in consideration of what's written in the North Shore Sustainability Plan, which I'm sure this same segment will be included again in the updated one, how will you guys proceed in regards to any type of affordability application?
If the applicant comes in for a zone change, they would need to comply with our affordable housing rules. And as a baseline, it requires that 30% of the units be affordable, and that would be at 120% AMI and below. And out of that 30%, 10%, which came out to the 16 units, would be 80% AMI and below.
And that's only the city guideline, but the developer themselves could decide to go lower, am I right?
The developer could
decide to make it more affordable if they wanted to.
Yes, in their application, they could offer more units at lower AMI, and when they rent out the units, we have rent limits. They could charge below the rent limits. And furthermore, the unilateral agreement that Chair Kia Aina explained will accompany the zone change could have conditions that require deeper affordability requirements.
But we're not voting on that today, correct?
Correct.
So I want to say that I'm in agreement with Chair Kiaina that these prices are not good. I mean, in Waianae, if we don't have 30% AMI, 30, not 80, not 120, the thing's no good. It's not good for the community. Nobody can afford it. 30% AMI is like deeply, deeply affordable. The next point I wanted to make is that the Oahu General Plan says that the North Shore should only have 1.7% of the population on this island. Is that correct?
Yes, the general plan has guidelines for each of the DP and SCP areas.
And currently right now, is the North Shore over, at, or under 1.7% of the population of this island?
I believe it's about at 2%.
So it's over. And in the North Shore Sustainability Plan, it's projecting that it'll go more over by 2035. So I wanted to bring that up in consideration, because if the houses are not affordable for local families, then that's what increases the population. If they're affordable, then people from Haleiwa will be able to get a home. But I'm bringing that up for your consideration at DPP because we are already over the population, and that's only of residents. That's not of how many tourists go in and out of Haleiwa every day. So that's why it feels so tight in there, is because we're over the suggested population and we're definitely over the tourism amount. Lastly, I'm just gonna make this statement, and thank you, Chair, for all of your allowance of this. In the North Shore Issues and Trends, it says 65% of the community is satisfied with the rural characteristics of homes, and 54% were satisfied with preserving agricultural lands. When those other future decisions come up, I am definitely going to be pushing for it to stay rural and to stay with a lot of agricultural considerations. The last two things was 83% are dissatisfied with traffic congestion, and 59% are unhappy about housing offered at all levels. So for those reasons, that's why in future decisions, we are not going to be for what's being proposed in this project, but we are not voting on this project today. I would rather not the land stay vacant, and actually everything within this bill is allowed. The growth boundary amendment is allowed. It's within, you know, the things that we're only talking about for this, but we are not talking about a zoning change. And when and if we do, that's going to be a different conversation. So thank you for answering those, and thank you, Chair, for your time.
Thank you. Members, any other questions? Councilmember Tupolo, I did want to talk about when a project could, we could mandate all affordable, of course. So she was talking about when a private developer and the city guidelines for rental properties. But of course, if the city had complete control over the project through acquisition of the property, not only would we require all affordable, but given an ordinance that was enacted into law by Councilmembers Dos Santos Tam and Cordero, there is now a preference for local residents for city affordable projects. And I'm just wanted to tell you, your questions are good ones, and I think it's important for us to understand the constraints that we're under. For Director Takeuchi Apuna, I just wanted to clarify again, whether or not this bill passed today, and whether or not, say, it was zoned, was rezoned, would the fact remain that if someone wanted to buy this parcel, they would still be able to do agriculture under both scenarios, under both the passage of the boundary amendment today, and second, even if it was rezoned, nothing would prohibit another buyer to be able to do agriculture on this property. Can you answer that question and clarify that for me?
Yes, that's correct. They could still either way continue to or start to use agriculture.
If they so desired.
Yes.
Correct? Mm-hmm. And whether that be a private buyer or the city, again, whether it be for affordable housing project or for agriculture development under the city's Clean Water and Natural Lands Fund, the city itself would not be prohibited from doing agriculture or affordable housing.
That's
on
correct.
The project. Okay, I just wanted to make clear. Members, any more discussions before I make my recommendation?
Chair.
Councilmember Tupola.
No questions, just discussion. I just want to say that personally, I feel like what's being proposed with the 150 is just not good. 7 acres, 150, that density in Haleiwa is not seen anywhere. Let's be realistic. The type of homes, the rural nature of it, everything that's stated in the North Shore Sustainability Plan leads us to continue to preserve the rural nature. So thank you for your comments. Thank you for your suggestions. I am voting yes on this, but with the understanding that we are not pursuing, that we are not voting on this project. I have too much to say about the project, but we're not voting on that. And that's irritating that we have to look at a presentation that's partly not what we're voting on. So I hear you, Denise, because I feel like when she said that, like we're talking about a project that we're not voting on, it's frustrating. But by changing the boundary amendment and going along with what the plan says, we could possibly open it up for ag use, for more Hawaiians. I mean, there's so many options that we could use for this, but I'm never gonna be for 120% or market rate in that area. We're not gonna be helping to keep local Haleiwa residents there if we do that. So with that being stated, I'm hoping that we can move in a direction that supports what the community is doing. And if that means that we use the Clean Water Natural Land Funds, which just so you guys know, we got 70 million of it sitting there. 70 million. And I just want it to be used for better uses, right, Chair Waters? We would love for the money to be used and not sit in the fund. I mean, what we're saying is that we're not talking about having an agriculture commission for fun. We really want there to be this ability for farmers to farm, but it's not lucrative. It's too costly. The infrastructure is too much. So if there's a way that we can help, that's what we're going to be doing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. And since we're talking about the fund, I need to let you know, because there are pending resolutions, and I've expressed concern about when people put partnerships together, because there's such tight funding all the way around from other sources, they tend to increase the dollar amount for the city, which I feel is not the purpose, because the idea for the fund is to probably look throughout Oahu to look at projects. And I think that this would have been a really good project to consider for the fund. Members, if there are no other questions, I'm going to make my recommendation. Chair recommends that Bill 37, 2025 CD1 be reported out for passage on third reading. Any discussion, any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Moving to agenda item number 4, informational briefing. Presentation by the Department of Planning and Permitting on the launch of Honolulu Build, its new permitting software designed to streamline the building permit process. Joining us in the council chamber is Don Takeuchi Apuna, Director of Planning and Permitting, who will be providing a brief presentation. For your information, the presentation is available online as Departmental Communication 590, 2025.
Thank you, Chair. We appreciate this opportunity to talk about H&L Build, Building Tomorrow Today, the new permitting software that is finally here. Oh, wait. Oh, shoot. All right, so let's just look back and give the timeline of H&L Build. So Posse, our current software, debuted in 1998. That was quite a long time ago. And so for nearly 27 years, Posse has served us well as a highly configured workflow and rules processing system. In 2022 and 2023, staff looked at over 16 different vendors and decided upon, in 2023, in December, decided on Clarity and Spiridian. We used FRF funds, about $6 million, to contract with Clarity and Spiridian, and our implementation began in March 2024. And H&L Build will go live on August 4th, next Monday, a week from today. So what we had before, you could only apply for building permits online, and you had to submit paper plans and applications for everything else. So with H&L Build, we're saying goodbye to paper. Every single permit and application you need is now online. Some of the system benefits are online integration of all DPP processes and services, comprehensive tracking and transparency with real-time updates, systems integration including current e-plans and outside agency reviews, improved collaboration among owners, engineers, contractors, agents, and other relevant parties. Some of the key changes that you'll see compared to POSSE, we require account registration to access the system with a valid email address. Owner contact information is required, and the system will require applicants to provide detailed information upfront to ensure clarity of scope of work and that all requirements are met early on. No separate tracking numbers. A single reference number will be used for both application submission and final approval. So today when you see a 2025 number, and then at the end of the permitting, when the permit is approved, you usually get a permit number. But with the new system, there'll be a single number throughout the entire process. More property-specific information, including applications, permits, parcels, licenses, approvals, violations, and more for each parcel. So this just shows the types of permits that H&L Build will process. So under building permits, there's many types. And under building permits, there's different parts of a permit that will also be processed through H&L Build. The pre-checks, approvals, and applications for things like building appeals before the Building Board of Appeals and special assignment inspections or SAIs. H&L Build will also process site development permits, which have traditionally been paper plan reviews, as well as zoning permits, from coastal permits to plan review use, zone changes, etc. And planning applications for long-range plans, PIMs, land use district boundary amendments, zoning changes, etc. As well as permits and processes that are covered, that are kind of outside of the traditional permits, such as short-term rental licenses, third-party review, registration, certified, self-certified professionals, requests for investigations, and even 92F information requests. So this is what the home page looks like for H&L Build. You can see on the left are buttons for different types of permits, and then breakdown on the right. And then this gives you a basic idea of how you would apply for a building permit on H&L Build. You would start with the permit eligibility and type. You'd put information on property, which may include existing violations and scope of work details. And then thirdly, you could identify your project on a map, and that would provide you more details about whether it's in a flood zone or would need additional permits. Then you would add contact information so that everyone is aware of the permit. And then lastly, the application is complete and we send it to the contractor for approval with the request to upload plans and related documents, payments, etc. So what to expect? There's definitely a different user experience and interface. We want people to become familiar with the new system. The platform is modular, so structure and workflows follow a similar design throughout the system. Expect some delays initially. Staff are also getting familiar with the new system. Lots of training and practice opportunities are available. It will be an adjustment period, but we ask that everyone be patient and flexible. Continued process and system improvement. There will always be opportunities for improvement, and we welcome everyone's feedback. And don't worry, help is here. We have an entire H&L Build website that has step-by-step guides for various permit types. We have video tutorials, and we have FAQs that help to explain some very common questions. And our next steps, H&L Build registration. So once the system goes live on Monday, August 4th, you can register with your email. Some POSSE accounts might have been migrated, so you may need to connect to existing projects, and that would probably be a phone call to DPP so we can connect the projects in POSSE into the H&L Build system. There are focused trainings, online video tutorials, user guides, in-person and online walkthroughs, and customer support through call-in support and email support. These are the important dates. So today at the close of business, POSSE will shut down. E-plans will not be available. No new applications or updates to in-flight permits will be allowed. And we recommend postponing new applications until we go live. And then a week from today, Monday, August 4th, if all goes well, H&L Build will go live. Pending applications will pick up where they left off, but will follow new system workflows. New applications will follow new system processes. And that is a basic rundown of our new H&L Build. Follow us on Instagram, and I'm here for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. I'm going to start off with a couple of questions.
Chair, before we do that, may I introduce?
Sure, Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Committee Chair Kia Aina, Committee Chair Kia Aina, as well as Committee Vice Chair and Council Chair Waters, Councilmember Tupola, Council Vice Chair Tupola, as well as Councilmember Okimoto, as well as members from the City Administration. I would like to welcome from the to the Council chambers. We have youth from Pu'uwai Momi with us today. If you could please give them a warm welcome. So we have, once again, the youth from the Tenacious Rooted Youth Center, also known as the Tri Center. This is located at the Pu'uwai Momi in my district in Holava. Tri is an out-of-school program under Parents and Children Together, or PACT. They are visiting Honolulu Hale, and they actually hope to jump into the demonstrations with EMS downstairs below. So hopefully, after we say hi to them, they'll be able to do that and experience not just Honolulu Hale, but also the Honolulu City Council at work. The group is led by Jordan Ragasa, as well as Hagai Leiki. If you could please give a wave. And once again, the youth from Pu'uwai Momi, who are amazing. They help out, especially with our neighborhood park, with the city's Department of Park and Recreation, but especially utilize it the most there. And so once again, welcome to the youth. Thank you so much for visiting us today. And we hope that you are interested in what we're doing here and learn a little bit about how these decisions will hopefully help your future. So thank you, youth, for joining us today. And thank you, Jordan, for bringing them as well. Mahalo for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Director, I'll start off the line of questioning. On the next steps, you have customer support, call-in support, email support. Are those numbers live yet? And are these numbers and emails different from the generic DPP email and number?
Yes, I believe the email, we have a specific email for H&L Build, and we can provide that. I think a lot of the information is on that new website.
Got it. Okay, and then the press release that you guys will likely release. So the number also is specific for the permitting process. It's not the generic DPP line. Is that correct?
Actually, I think it might be still the generic one, but there's a definitely, we're having DIT kind of menu out the different areas so that if they pick H&L build, then it will direct that line to the correct people.
Okay, I think it would be helpful to have a specific number.
Okay.
I know that part of the complaints we get is that when people come to generic number, it's very hard to navigate. So I feel that our job is to make everybody's lives easier. And since this is the most important part of DPP's process, I think you might be able to get a different number so they don't get caught in the generic inquiries to the line. With regard to the video tutorials and the FAQs, do you have that available now, or is that also going to be available when it launches?
It is available now. We just launched that website today, so it should be available.
The tutorial or the facts, which one is launched?
All of it. On one page, we have the facts, videos, and the step-by-step
Before
guides.
the actual launch, so there's actual documents that people could avail themselves and start preparing for the launch.
Exactly.
So
today.
everything else on the page will be live, correct? Except for the actual permitting process, the steps.
That's correct.
Okay, that wasn't clear to me.
Although we'll continue to add videos, FAQs as we go, but there's already some on there right now.
Okay, we'll go take a look at that. And then lastly, my question would be with regard to, you know how you've previously testified that very often when people have been complaining about the long wait times, whether it's residential or commercial, very often it's actually within the kuleana of the applicant or their handlers. And so how is this process going to help to avoid that? Where in this presentation is someone going to be able to say, when they're trying to look at the process, how are they going to be able to know where the application is? What slide do you have here?
So it's not in a specific slide, except that when a building permit application is applied for, it is required that the owner and all the relevant parties have their emails within the process, so they will be notified and they can access the permit and see everything that's going on during the permit process.
And that is not available now?
Not until we go live, then they can register.
So basically, they're going to be able to put in their permit application number and know with certainty where it is.
Yes.
And do you believe that that will help with decreasing the amount of wait time with regard to the overall process?
Yes, I think that just being more involved with your permit, you can say, okay, looks like it's stuck here, and you can let your let that agency or your design professional know, and that might help move things along more quickly.
And would that include kind of a small project, say an extension, an ADU?
Yes, I think
so. Okay, thank you so much. Members, any questions? Councilmember Okimoto?
Thank you, Chair. This is part question, but really just a mahalo for you also. Can you remind me when you started in your position as the director of the department?
September 2022.
Okay, that's what I thought. So I think Chair Waters appointed, I had an early appointment into this for me in my seat, November 2022, you just started. I just want to thank you because I remember those early meetings when I just started in this position, you were in yours, and the heat that you took. So I'm really excited for what you and your department have done in a short amount of time, and I look forward to what this can do for our constituents. I'm sure we'll have more questions as this goes live, and then our residents and our constituents have questions about what to do with it. But I really want to thank you for all that you've done. I'm really excited. And thank you, Chair, for having this info briefing. Thank you, Director.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I just want to say thank you to our staff. They put in over 1,000 hours just for the implementation for H&L Build. And so, all thanks goes to them. Yeah, thank you.
Councilmembers, any questions? Chair Waters?
I just want to also thank you for your hard work, and really exciting to see this up and running coming Monday, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Hey, just had a clarifying question though. Did I hear you correctly that those who, and maybe we can help get the word out, but those folks who have a pending application in Posse should call or email DPP to switch it over to HNL Build?
So I think what they should do is they should definitely register next Monday. And if it looks like their projects aren't listed there, they should call us, and then we'll do a step-by-step link from our end to make sure that it's all connected within the system.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember one of your presentations, you did talk about how a lot of these projects are permits are dead, meaning that, I mean, they're contributing to our backlog when really the builder or homeowner doesn't really want to pursue it.
Yes.
If we don't, maybe this is an opportunity to wipe those off the books if they don't switch over from Posse to HNL Build. Is
Yeah.
that something being contemplated?
Yeah, so we've been trying to cancel a lot of those stale projects. I don't think we're able to move all of them, but we're definitely got some of those out of the way. And actually that helps to explain, I think there were questions prior about why our overall times still seem really long. It's because there's ones that are in there that are very old and they're skewing the time, the data. And so, yes, we definitely need to get rid of those because it will show a more clear and accurate understanding of our permitting times.
Yeah, terrific. Again, good luck, and thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Councilmember Tupola? Okay, thank you. This is an exciting time, so drum roll. I think what we're all going to do is try to push it out via social media so we can start prepping people. But thank you for all of your hard work, and thank you for the hard work of your staff.
Thank you.
Mahalo, everyone, for being here today. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Proceeding first with, I'm sorry about that. Proceeding first with in-person testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, do we have any in-person testifiers for this item?
Chair, we have Angela.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sure the staff would have thought of it if I hadn't mentioned it. Angela Melody Young, testifying on behalf of CARES in strong support of the presentation. This is incredible because the app development and technological advances will help to keep the city organized and up to speed with better accommodating the city and its citizens' demands. Clarity picks up the slack. You know, when I walked into the DPP's office, because I need to learn to navigate the process as a future agent and to help construction crews who don't speak English, there's just like paper maps everywhere. I was like, oh, wow, it's not from my generation. So it's going to be really amazing to work with this app, and I really appreciate it. So thank you so much. And, you know, I took a vacation from studying for my license and reading DPP rules, so my brain is not working right now. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Proceeding with remote testimony. Clerks, do we have any remote testifiers, or is anyone standing by?
Chair, there are none.
So again, mahalo everyone for being here today. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.